Hi, good morning, everyone. My name is Shoshana Bule. I am the director of this committee. And with me in Albany, we will go around and introduce ourselves so that everyone in the other two offices knows who we are.
Joel Lombardi, Deputy Counsel at DOD representing Robert Mojica and Richard Tripp.
Ian McCallum, Associate Attorney with the Office of General Services, representing Commissioner Moy.
Stephen Waters, appointment a long time ago from the Senate side and owner of the Rome Daily Sentinel.
Kristen O'Neill, Committee on Open Government.
Candace Watson, Committee on Open Government.
Zoila Del Castillo, Deputy Secretary of State, Department of State.
Amanda DeSantis, representing the Lieutenant Governor's Office.
Jay Corkin, Committee on Open Government.
Just joined us.
Committee on Open Government.
Peter Grimm, appointed by the Governor's Office.
Great. So we are only missing our Buffalo member, and I understand that she will be present. So, but we do have a quorum present in New York City. We have.
You need other governmental.
In New York City, we have.
Franklin and David, could you introduce
Could you
yourselves?
introduce yourselves from New York City?
Franklin Stone, Assembly appointee.
And David Schultz, the Governor's appointee. Holdover.
And again, in Buffalo, we are
I'm
just
not
awaiting our
involved.
last member who may be joining us. We're hoping that she'll be joining us soon. All right. So since we do have a quorum present, I wonder if we should just get started since we have a lot to cover today. The agenda doesn't have too many items on it, but we have a big stack of things to get through. So the first item is I would call for a motion to discuss the draft minutes of our October 19th meeting. All right, we have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Okay, great. Does anyone have any comments on the draft minutes circulated regarding the October 19th, 2022 meeting?
My comment is not on the minutes themselves because I wouldn't know whether they reflected the meeting or not. But is there some
Oh, you
reason
didn't
why?
receive the recording to view? I thought we'd sent it
No.
to you so that you could view the recording.
No,
of the meeting?
I wanted it and I couldn't find it. Is there some reason why we don't post it on the website?
It is posted on the website
I could not find it, but I was
under
looking
meeting
on.
recordings.
Right from our
Okay.
homepage, there's a link that
To
says
meeting recordings.
Okay, I couldn't find it on my iPad. Maybe I'll find it on my computer. Okay, no, I could not find it to watch it. And the minutes are fine as far as they go, but they don't really tell you what happened at the meeting. What was the substance of the discussion, and that would have been helpful. Did someone send me a link? Because I didn't see it. You
No,
said
they're just
someone sent
posted
me
in
the...
They're just posted in the normal place, and we've sent a link around before to where those things are posted. So
Okay.
they're just posted in a
Okay.
normal place.
Okay.
The only thing I see on the October meeting minutes is, Joel, you were here, right? I don't see Joel listed as a member present for that.
Oh,
Was
okay.
not here. Joel was not there.
Why was it the last one? Not the
Yeah.
one before that. I was absent, but the last one I was there.
Okay.
Speaking of which, let's pass around the sign-in sheet and make sure we all get credit for being here.
Did we get that
First thing I
credit?
did.
Yes. Here you go.
All right, well, with that change, we will, to reflect that Joel was present, we will, can I get a motion to approve the minutes with that ministerial correction?
Yes. How do we move that? Moving.
No, I just asked for a motion. Go ahead.
There you go.
Amazing. I'm moving that into
Congratulations.
I'll second.
Okay, terrific. So the minutes are approved with that correction. Can we move to a discussion of the draft annual report? And just to contextualize this for everyone, I sent around after our last meeting on October 19th, on November 3rd, based on the conversation that had been had at that meeting, I circulated another draft. And upon that draft, we received a series of comments from David, from Stephen, from Joel, from Ian, from Soila, and from Amanda. And so instead of sort of trying to redline all of these different comments into one draft, which would get very busy and complicated, my proposal to you all earlier in the week was to discuss each section by section and try to reach kind of a consensus with all of the comments and the comments on comments to try to move forward toward potentially being able to vote today on the draft. So nobody suggested an alternative plan, so we're gonna go with that. So what we could try to do is using the 11.3 draft as a template.
And Shoshana, do
Go
you
ahead.
mean the 11:30 draft?
No, I mean the 11.3.
November 30th.
I mean the one that I circulated on the 3rd.
Yeah, and you emailed me that, and I think it's dated, okay, I think I know which one we're looking at. And perhaps like there's,
There's a draft line across the front that says 11.3.22.
want to make sure.
Yep, that's the right one.
That's it.
Yep,
Yep, I got it.
Okay.
Got it. Thank you.
So using that, like I said, as a template,
That's why I said.
why don't we talk about the introduction, which is the first thing that is covered, and see if we can reach an agreement on what that should say. We had one comment to remove the word certainly in that first paragraph. Unless anyone objects, I think we can remove it.
Yes.
Okay?
Pedantic.
No, it's, we all have to agree. All right, and so moving down, I think the other comment that we got on the introduction was from David. And somebody correct me if that's not correct, but I believe that's the comments that we got on the introduction were from David, the only substantive comments that we got. So do we want to go through those? Okay. Anyone want to discuss the?
I had some questions just about some of the language
Sure.
used, and forgive me because I'm new to this, but the first question I had was about the choice of the word overhaul when we refer to the Boyle, needing to overhaul. That to me seems like a strong word, suggesting that perhaps the whole thing needs to be started over, and is that the best term for this introduction? Are we suggesting as a committee that we need to completely overhaul, or are we suggesting updates or modifications? And I think the language here is important as we set the tone for the rest of the report.
I agree with that.
Yeah.
I think we should consider
So
a
where's the
lighter
word?
tone.
I think it's in the first bullet.
Where is this?
Where are they?
Where is this?
Where are
In
you
the
on
first
that?
bullet point in the introduction.
Okay, thank you. I kept saying oversight, and I'm like, there's no overhaul.
Oh, she's questioning the word oversight. Overhaul.
No,
Yeah,
overhaul.
I think overhaul is an appropriate word. If someone has a suggestion, I'm fine with others. But the point I think of there is that it's tied to what we're going to talk about later with algorithmic accountability, where I think what we need to be doing is alerting the governor and the legislature that the current FOIA law isn't equipped to provide the kind of information the public needs. And so that needs to be looked at. And the overhaul has to do, I think, also with the first proposal under 2, the effective oversight. That really, it's been 50 years and it's time to look at this in terms of how we do things.
But is that an update as opposed to an overhaul is my question.
Overhaul sounds like a pretty drastic
Yeah, but we
Drastic
suggest like
revision.
revise, it needs to be,
Revision.
revision.
How about serious revision? I mean, because we're not tinkering at the margins here.
I think
And
that's
that's
fair
what
too.
revision suggests.
That's another word that comes up later in the document, the word tinkering. I wanted to talk about, but that's later in the document. Tinkering is an interesting choice of words.
What about update?
That's what I put in my notes.
Serious
Update.
revision?
Updating would be all right. I mean, it's a minor change. I mean, updating is fine. Reform would work. Something.
I like reform.
I like reform too.
Yeah.
Needs
So
reform.
needs reform?
And then in that same section with the bullets, I just had a question about the use of the word secret. And is that the appropriate term, the industry accepted term that we're trying to hit here? Or is this the right language to use?
This is the last bullet.
Yep, is it in use or not improperly designated secret, resulting in decisions that are not transparent? Is it trade secret?
Does
Is
that
it,
mean trade secret?
yeah, so
Probably
secret to me,
appropriate.
like, what kind of secret?
So again, this bullet point was the subject of some revision, I think, by David as well.
Okay,
And
okay.
I know that there was a lot of comments in the email exchange about people's thoughts. So that bullet may come out, you know, as revised anyway. So let's just, like, trade secret, we'll put in there just as a placeholder for now. And then we can talk about it as, you know, David sort of forecast, you know, with the conversation around algorithms. But to get through the introduction, David did have additional line edits to the words in the report. And I want to make sure that everyone has an opportunity to read those and review those and decide whether that's where, you know, but he was the only one who made substantive edits of this form. So if you want to take a look at each of these and decide if these revisions are what we're going to go with.
And that was for dated November 7th, that David sent those edits, right?
David's,
Yeah,
I
that's what
think
I'm
he
looking
did. I can't remember the date. I
November
have it
7th,
printed out.
right, David?
Sorry?
I got it. The date in which you sent those last edits was November 7th.
I don't know, I only sent one set of edits, so if that's the date,
Got it.
that's the date.
I have it in front of me.
But I think Ian and Joel also sent edited David's document, so I'm looking
I
at.
don't think that their
Not on
edits
the
were
bullet
on, not on, I think that the only substantive edits we got were to the introduction.
Got it.
So that's David's
Got it.
work.
I have it printed and I can't tell whose comments are what.
I know, that's very complicated.
The colors.
Everyone was trying to figure out who Lisa
Yeah.
was, David.
Yeah, we don't know.
Somebody made blue comments, somebody made purple, and somebody made green, so. Yeah.
All right. So in the introduction to, in the first paragraph, there was a striking of, we must point out that, and in fact, are we okay with removing those? Okay.
Hold on a second.
Where are we?
Yep.
Wait a minute, where are we?
In the first paragraph
Introduction.
of the introduction
Introduction.
on David's version,
Back, introduction, gotcha.
we haven't even discussed the introduction yet, except for the one bullet point and the one word certainly, Franklin. So we're just moving as quickly as we
I'm
can.
in place.
Okay, and then in the second paragraph that begins in this report, there was some edits there. Everyone okay with the edits to that?
Yes.
Okay. And in the first bullet point, other than the word overhaul, which we've now changed to reform, there were other edits to that bullet point. Everyone okay with those, or do we want to make comments?
Can you read how it would read with the
Yes,
suggested
I
edit?
have more
The Freedom
comments.
of Information Law needs reform to ensure more effective and efficient oversight of agencies' decisions to
Oh, it
deny
doesn't.
access
Doesn't have mine.
and to reduce the burden on those seeking
Well,
access
that-
to government
She needs to
information.
read what you're. I'm a little confused. Does this November 11th draft include David's comments or not?
We're not working from a November 11th draft. We're working from David's comments of November, whenever David sent his draft.
Okay, we don't have that, I think, in front of us.
They gave us copies of things here that are outdated, so I'm gonna take a second to find it on my computer.
Yeah, and
Who gave you copies? I'm sorry.
The people here.
Pam gave us,
Oh,
Gave
that's
us-
just what was posted to the website, which was our just draft to be discussed
Right.
as I post. So what I mentioned in my email was that we would be going over everybody's comments. So
I get
if
that,
you want
but
to
you
refer
need-
to David's comments.
I get that. We do not have David's comments in front of us, so I think,
I'm sure
We
David
should-
does.
well, he
I'm trying
hadn't
to
been
get
able
them.
to
I'm
get
having trouble
online.
getting the access. but
They
I'll
don't have a
give you
Wi-Fi code, so I don't have access, so it would be helpful to know what David's comments were in the introduction so that we can yay or nay.
He circulated them on the 7th of November to
I know
everybody.
he did, but I don't have access to them because we do not have Wi-Fi here.
And we have somebody print them.
So it would be helpful to know what his comments were so we can make a decision on it.
Let me see if I can find
It was not provided to us.
We just read the bullet point.
I just read it to you. Would you like to hear it again?
Next time, next year, it might be good for us to send each member just before the meeting, the draft that we'll be working on.
We did that, and then I said we're gonna look at everybody's comments, and everybody
Yeah.
had received those.
Okay.
Right, but David's comments are not included in your email that included everybody's comments. It just has a link to this is what he did. So I did not print out a copy of that and bring it with me because I thought I'd be able to get online, but I can't get online. So it would be helpful to know what David's comments are.
So you want me to reread, do you want me to reread his comment then?
Yeah,
His-
why
The
don't you do
bullet
that?
point would now read, the Freedom of Information Law needs reform to ensure more effective and efficient oversight of agencies' decisions to deny access and to reduce the burden on those seeking access to government information.
Okay, that sounds good to me.
Okay? Everyone all right with that?
Yes.
Yes.
The next bullet point would read, FOIL responsible agencies should be required to collect and publicly report FOIL statistics yearly.
Sounds good to me.
That's fine.
Third bullet point
Now we're
is,
getting it. Oh,
is added, is an addition. FOIL responsible agencies should also be required to make additional proactive disclosures on their websites of intrinsically useful information without waiting for a specific request. In the long run, this can make transparency both more useful and less expensive.
So I think we should talk about this one, because I made comments later on in
Set
the
it at
document
20 words.
concerning that. But I guess,
Here, I don't know if you can read that, but you can scroll through that.
Oh, I can probably.
I
Sorry.
still have no idea what, I guess I'm just so frustrated because I'm thinking of this as how we're gonna implement it.
Right.
And I wouldn't really know how to do that. So I'd probably just throw up my hands and say, well, I guess nothing's really valuable, and then
I think it's more a state of mind than a technical implementation.
But not for me.
Guys,
No,
it seems to me
it
that this is
requires
what
a
we've
decision.
said in our past 10 reports. It seems to me that this is what we've said in our past 10 reports. That
Okay,
it's
but I guess,
cheaper and
yeah.
better.
I mean, I think that, like I said, I just don't know what it means, right? So like when we say should be required to make proactive disclosures, how on their website, okay. But the full text of what documents intrinsically useful or what's intrinsically useful, I don't know.
Right.
Is it gonna make it less expensive? That I really couldn't tell you because we have.
The language calls into more questions, like, sort of like, as a lawyer, like asking all those questions, it calls for more questions than answers, so maybe keeping it more simple as it was before. What was it reading before?
But I think this bullet
is a
point
new-
is an addition, right? So.
Well, it's sort
Yeah.
of a modification and a
It's a
reordering of the bullet point that says FOIL responsible agencies should be required to make additional proactive disclosures of records.
I mean, like, can we keep it like that?
I mean, we could keep it, that is in fact what it was before David's edit, and if
Yes, I have both.
Because that's what, I have that
On
crossed
their
out.
websites makes a big difference.
Right, on David's version, it's crossed out, but on the original version.
this is what the original version said, it just.
Yeah, I just haven't worked enough.
Yeah, so, again, it's, because of all of the different redlining, I was hopeful that people would have heard my suggestion, but I mustn't have made it clear enough. So, the bullet point prior to modification in David's circulation of 11.7 was FOIL responsible agencies should be required to make additional proactive disclosures of records. Franklin, did you say you thought it was important to say on their websites?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, there's no reason for it to be ambiguous.
So I do want to call out, and I think I mentioned this last time, that, the division has been proactively disclosing what has been foiled, and then often people just send us a note, and then we would, just send it out. And we've been doing that now for over a year, and we have received 0 requests. So I'm just a little bit, color me, I don't know, cynical, but it just doesn't seem like people are clamoring that much.
So the idea, where I think I hear your question mainly focusing is on the intrinsically useful part, and
Right.
yeah,
Because I
so
don't think
can-
anyone's finding it useful.
Yeah.
Well, can I just ask a question, Joel? If you take that language out, what are you posting?
previously foiled, anything that's
Only
been specifically previously
stuff?
foiled.
Not the documents themselves, the description of the documents, so that people can just ask for it right away and we can just provide it very quickly. But we also post a lot of other information, obviously. I can't speak for all agencies, so I don't know what they're looking at there, but in terms of what's been foiled, nobody else seems to really be interested in it.
It's I just in my prior life, you know, working as a FOIL officer and then a FOIL appeals officer in an agency, the number of times that the same FOIL request happens was usually focused on procurements. And oftentimes by the time those documents are FOIL available in their entirety or they've been reviewed by the appropriate agencies and including the control agencies and designated final, they're already posted to the comptroller's website or to Open Book or to the OGS website. So repeat FOIL requests were usually directed in that way. So I don't have experience hearing from people foiling the same things over and over again. Certainly, some agencies may get the same type of thing foiled over and over again, but usually in my experience, those are sort of agencies like OMH or health, where the kinds of things that are repeatedly foiled, the same types of documents, are subject to serious review and redaction. So those, it's difficult to proactively disclose that as well. So I understand the issue that you're having, Joel, but it is true, as Franklin said, we have advocated, as this group has advocated in the past for additional proactive disclosure. So, and there is a long section on it, and we can obviously talk about it when we get there. But if we want to make the bullet point less provocative in that way, then are you comfortable with FOIL responsible agencies should be required to make additional proactive disclosures of records on their websites?
Yeah, I think if we keep it that way, because I think that sort of accounts for what, at least for what I have done, in that we are proactively, you know, we are making proactive disclosures, but I guess I don't want to expand this section when we haven't really, you know, it's a great idea, and I'm not opposed to it because we do it. Actually, it's a good idea. I mean, you know, not a lot of agencies have. So I'm actually a huge proponent of it, but I just, based on my experience, I just don't think anybody is really clamoring for this like we all imagine that maybe, you know, people that are niche interested in it.
Could I just?
I'd like,
Yeah.
Thank you,
Go ahead,
Pam.
Stephen.
I'd like to propose a different way of looking at this. When newspapers were driven for 100 years to have large composing rooms whose job it was to translate the written stories into something that could be printed. It was an enormous expense, it was very difficult, it was time consuming. The 1990s came about and I was bound and determined I was not going to create another high-tech composing room to put stuff online, and ended up restructuring how we wrote stories so that putting something online became moving something to a hot folder. And I think that philosophically what you're talking about here is not so much in the lines as saying our organizations, our agencies need to be structured so that it is much easier to get general information online, and they should be encouraged to do that.
Right.
Yeah, and I can't speak to procurement or some of the other agencies you all have, but hardly a day goes by in New York City where we don't see some third party taking state and city information like traffic deaths or accidents or whatever, and creating, you know, very, very useful resources in that regard. So
that data is available statewide on opendata.ny.gov. That's already available. That kind of data that you're talking about, traffic, and so that's already proactively disclosed.
But there's also a big difference between
So
information and records, right? Because
Yes, there is.
information is outside the scope of FOIL, whereas records are within the scope. So if we're talking about like intrinsically useful information, then I think that would be just sort of posting statistics or things that are interesting that the agency may have reports on or whatever, but a record is very, very different, right? So I'm thinking of this as disclosure of records,
Yes.
not necessarily just helpful information that the that, you know, a researcher might wanna know or whatever.
Yeah, I think we're in a
Compilation.
to do records and we can, do we have any sort of like, are we keeping on the website? I don't have an issue with that, so I'm trying to understand like, I think we were all in agreement on proactive disclosures of records on their websites.
I think that's
Yeah.
what Franklin suggested was more useful, and so that would be
Could
included in
I
the bullet.
comment too? Could I have a chance to
Yeah,
say
absolutely.
something? It's like hard to cut in with you guys. I just want to advocate for the fact that, you know, our role, this is not legislation. We're not imposing mandates on people. And I think Joel's comment that this is a good idea is kind of the whole point here. And that this is written not just for state agencies around the table, but, you know, county governments, town governments, and to put out there the idea that you should be thinking about what is intrinsically interesting to the public and why you're not making that available. That it's a good thing for us to be advocating for. That would be my position.
That's simple and straightforward.
It's not a mandate. It's not like you have to do this. And
We're suggesting that it should be one. I guess that's the idea, is that we're suggesting that it should be one, which is, you know, I'm just pointing that out.
Is the word required the problem then?
No, I think I guess if you tell any local government or state agency that they're required to post, just like I'm assuming your newspaper sources, if we told you you had to, you know, post those, what was intrinsically useful information, you'd post nothing. So I don't know if this gets us anywhere. I think it gets us a lot less than the prior iteration, if you just want to add on the website. And you know, really, quite frankly, I think most of what I do is boring. I don't know what anybody would find intrinsically useful. But it also does contain the word information, which I think is problematic because it's outside the scope of our mandate, because it's not really a FOIL issue.
So the as edited.
Required is certainly a problem too, I think, for some locals, but I don't know about all. It's certainly not for me. So I would just prefer that we go back to the old version, but then we add Franklin's suggestion of
On the website.
or electronically or whatever. But yeah.
I like your language. Just to be clear, I like David's language because I think we're making, you know, a call for it, and legislation would obviously, we're not putting in quotes that that's what should go in legislation. But, so I would include the other language as well. Just my 2
I would just
cents.
include on their website.
Like, give it a home. Give it a home, the website.
Yes, I would just include on the
So
website.
without raising the question, so I guess the difference is between the idea of these intrinsically useful language that David had proposed and the word information associated with that, and the prior version with the addition of Franklin's on the home, on the website. So what's the consensus on this? I guess for the change, I guess we need 6 of you to support it. Do we have that?
Can you read what the change would be so before we agree to it?
No, okay, well, I guess the difference between.
Change requires?
The difference between David and we have a version. The 11.3 version with the addition of on the websites, or the version that David proposed, or some other version.
All right, so I'm gonna vote for on their website, just adding those 2 words.
Yeah, I agree.
I'm in agreement with that. If you could just read it though one more
Okay,
time, just to make sure.
FOIL responsible
Right.
agencies should be required to make additional proactive disclosures of records on their websites,
Period.
period.
I'm okay with
I'm in
that.
favor.
So I've heard 4 in favor of that. Anyone else?
Yeah, let me ask a question of, without waiting for a specific request.
That's David's version.
No, that's one clause that is from David's.
Okay.
That says,
FOIL responsible agencies should be required to make additional proactive disclosures of records on their websites without waiting for specific requests.
Right.
I mean, I feel like that's implied by proactive.
I agree, but
I think
that, you know, look at,
okay.
I don't mind if that's what everyone wants.
No, I'm just gonna keep to on their website.
Okay. So I have 4 for the on their websites edition.
I'm good with on the website.
5. I think that's where we've landed then.
Yeah, I mean, I think that, just to be clear, I mean, I definitely want to look at the whole thing as a whole.
Yeah.
But yeah, for right now, I think.
For the
this-
bullet point,
Yeah.
that's where you're landing?
Yeah.
Okay. Then the next
Why,
bullet
why
point.
would,
Can I
why
also-
would we leave out the language, in the long run, this can make transparency more useful and less expensive, which has, to my recollection, been in our last 10 reports. I mean, it's not controversial. I don't know. It was David's suggestion, and it seemed to me it was totally non-controversial to remind people that this is less expensive than responding to FOIL requests.
But we don't have any evidence to suggest that it is, but we can.
Then why have we
we're
said it
supposing
for
that
10
might be.
years?
Well, because
should
we
take
have
it out.
historically said things without evidence for a long time.
Well, it's certainly less expensive for the person who has to go hire a lawyer and file a FOIL request or go to the trouble
Well,
of
there's no
filing a
suggestion,
FOIL
I think,
request.
that we're making that frequently FOILed or these kinds of documents aren't given in response to FOILs. But that the idea here would be that it would be faster.
I don't think it's needed. I don't
I
think
think
that
it's less expensive, the whole process.
There's no cost involved in making a FOIL request.
There's time and there's effort in following up and following up and following up and following up. It's a pretty big cost to
For this
someone who
type
has
of record,
filed.
there's no suggestion that you have to follow up and follow up and follow up. If the record is patently available, I think we mostly get complaints about records that are subject to redaction and
No,
potential exemptions.
I'm not sure
Just
that
anecdotal.
everybody
But
has
if we're talking about records, then I think this is, so we're saying it's, well, whatever, I'm not even gonna debate the merit of it.
I don't think it's
I
needed.
don't
I
think
think
we
we
need
can
it.
move on.
I
Okay,
think this is
This
just
is
a
not
place
what
for
we-
bullet points, there's a whole
Yeah,
subsection
and
for
it's-
later,
yeah.
and the subsection doesn't discuss, expense
We go into
or
it later.
whether it's useful, so
Yeah.
why would we put in the bullet?
Let's move on to the next bullet.
so the next bullet to discuss was a third bullet that was in the 11.3 draft and the fourth bullet in David's draft. So it says the legislature, the start begins the legislature. And it had some edits that David proposed. The way David's proposal reads is the legislature should clarify existing ambiguities associated with, and then the rest of the bullet remains the same except in Romanet 3, the definition of a public body pursuant to the open meetings law, subject to the open meetings law. So how do we feel about just that? So we'll get to the added sentence in a second. But how do we feel? Those are okay? All right.
Yes.
Yeah, I
Okay.
think it's actually really good.
Okay. So, and then the added sentence begins with uncertainty surrounding these issues is frustrating the legislature's goals in enacting transparency laws and engendering frustrating, time-consuming, and expensive litigation that can be avoided by legislative action.
I think just like before, we don't need that second sentence.
The point
Not
to include it, the point to include it is there are people who are not going to delve deeply into the report and have a justification why up front is illuminating and gets to the heart of the matter of why.
I mean, to the extent that it's identified as an ambiguity, that this is a bullet point describing ambiguities. I hear Soila's sort of suggestion it's not necessary to
I
explain
think
what
she's right,
that
but
an
I also
ambiguity is
think
frustrating.
it's
Yeah,
counterweight
no,
to that.
absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with Zoila, and I think I agree with her because this is just supposed to be the intro, right? So, but later on, I think we make it pretty clear that it's very problematic.
Well, we do.
But why wouldn't we make it clear up front for the people who read the bullet points? I can tell you, I was at a bar association meeting last night where they spent 45 minutes hearing from the NYCLU about the number of lawsuits all around the state that are tied up in trial courts over the meaning of 50A. And I think this is an important sentence to transmit to the legislature and others that this is causing huge costs to the courts, to litigants, and everyone else that they should address. I don't know why we would be afraid of highlighting that.
I'm certainly not afraid of it, or else I wouldn't agree to put it in the report, but I think that in this section, right, we're just trying to make the bullets, and we already say that. So if, to the extent that there's fear involved. I mean, if we're that worried, the whole section should be the only part of the report, right? I mean, I think you could make that same argument to push everything forward, and here this is just the bullet. So I think Zoila's right, and that we should just keep it simple and short, and that's why if you're really interested in that, you should then flip to that page. I'm assuming that the NYCLU does look at this, or they would if they were interested, so I would think they would read the whole thing.
And my fear is like, you open with a sentence like that, you have to really explain what is frustrating, what is this, what is that, in that bullet point too. So that's why like we should just don't throw such a statement. And folks should like flip to the longer explanation. I think that's the point of the summary and the bullet points. But I would also like have to rephrase that sentence a lot to like be okay with that. But that's why I would not include that.
All right, do you, anyone else have thoughts about this additional sentence on the bullet? David, more thoughts? Are you nodding? I can't, maybe I should put my glasses on so I can see the nuances, but I don't. Okay. So where did we land?
I would include
I would
it because you want to tell them what you're going to tell them, you want to tell them, and you want to tell them what you told them.
Okay. So I have 3 includes.
I
have
agree as well.
4 includes.
I'm all for striking it.
I am for
Striking it.
3 strikes, 4 includes, 3 strikes, and Amanda, do you
Well,
want to weigh in? I don't know.
I'm reading it over and over again, and I think that I understand the merit of the sentence and how it could be useful here, but the way that it is written, it would need to be
Do you want to take a crack at? Do you want to workshop it? See,
clean it up a little bit and see if we can get to a consensus.
Okay, I'm open to that. Let's. If everyone else is, what should the sentence? What is a compromise? What could it say?
So I think for me, there's a lot of anecdotes that we have about why this is necessary and useful. This, to me, the statement is not a strong statement. It is very sort of like, oh, there's some uncertainty and the frustration. Let's make it a very direct.
How about cutting it in half? Uncertainty surrounding these issues is frustrating the legislature's role in enacting the transparency laws, period.
That's to me a lot better than,
That
and much
sounds better.
clearer.
Yeah, I'd go with that.
So the first half of the sentence then?
That was good.
Hooray.
You see what you have to editing.
You sold me on that.
Thank you.
That's what happens.
Good thing it happened, then I ran out of air.
Okay.
Read that again, I'm sorry.
So, do you want me to read the whole thing now?
Yes,
Okay. The legislature should clarify existing ambiguities associated with the 2020 repeal of Section 50A of the Civil Rights Law and associated FOIL amendments, the timeline for agency FOIL compliance, and the definition of a public body subject to the Open Meetings Law. Uncertainty surrounding these issues is frustrating the legislature's goals in enacting the transparency laws.
I'm okay with that.
Yeah, I think that's okay.
Okay?
Agreed.
David is shaking his head.
I'm still opposed. I don't understand the reluctance to call attention to the problems that exist and alert the legislature, which I view as our committee roles. So I respectfully dissent from that.
So I think we have 5 for this change.
Do we have a consensus that, subject to, I think David and maybe Franklin, I don't see her head is shaking. It's not, she's with
I
David.
agree with David. I think we're
Okay.
supposed to be advocates, and this is watering it
I
down.
agree with David also, but I want it in the body of the report to be very strong and reiterating that.
Okay.
We have 6 in favor of the
Do
way
we
it's
have
stated.
consensus do we have at least 6 who are willing to go forward with,
Yes.
I think so.
I hear words, but
Sarah, Amanda, correct me if I'm wrong, Joel, Ian, and Steven?
5.
5. Who am I Oh, Peter. Peter, you said yes too, I'm sorry.
okay, all right, that's where we landed then. Okay, the next bullet point in the order that we circulated was subject to resource, there was no comments on that. Subject to resource availability, all public bodies should be required to stream their open meetings on the internet so that more citizens can view the operations of government. Nobody had even wordsmithing comments on that. Hooray. I captured the thought without any problems. Okay, and so then the last bullet point is about the, well, it's, no, it's a bullet point still. It's concerning the algorithm section. And so I'm sure that there are thoughts on that based on the comments that we were, just the thoughts that we received by email. So can we discuss that bullet point? And so the original read, agencies using automated decision-making for governmental functions must ensure that such algorithms are not improperly designated secret, resulting in decisions that are not transparent. We added the word trade secret earlier as a placeholder instead of secret. But then now we should discuss David's reworking of that bullet point into a sort of a longer thought paragraph.
Yeah, so I think I was the one that first responded. I would eliminate this bullet point entirely. And I think what I would do is I would take the bullet point that we did or have in there in the last version that you circulated, Shoshana, and move that to where the section is and maybe expand on that slightly into a single paragraph. But I think that this needs to be substantially toned back. I would say that, I'm not opposed to having a reference to it, in the report later on, not as a bullet point, but, very sort of vague and I think true to what we know, which is nothing, because I think we really don't. We know very little, right? There's probably some things we can find out that may be public information, but I'm not seeing a ton of factual support, and I think there's a lot of implications in this bullet point and in the paragraphs later, and I just want to eliminate those completely and stick to something like that bullet point with maybe another sentence or two later on, in the report. So that's my position that I'm comfortable with. The only other option would be, I think, for me, would be to eliminate it entirely from the report, which I don't want to do, but I think, I really want to tone it down substantially. So I don't know what everybody else feels about it, but that's sort of the position I staked out.
Shoshana, let me ask you a question. For the bullet points that we have discussed,
Yes.
what goes into determining what we point out in these bullet points? Like the most important issues of the report? What was the determination?
I think it was
behind
just
that?
meant to summarize or to identify each proposal that we had as a body. So I hope I didn't forget anyone, but that's the reason why each thing was a bullet point, is because it was a section. The reason why one of the bullet points covered 3 of our sections, because they all dealt with ambiguity.
Right.
So there were 3 sections on ambiguity, but I dealt with them in one bullet point.
Okay.
That was my thought.
But
Because they had that. Other than that,
section
each
is
section,
represented.
each proposal has a bullet point.
A bullet point.
Yeah, I think that's probably part of my concern. So I don't really think that this should really even necessarily be a proposal. I think it should be something that we just sort of say exists and that we have mentioned it, but not go beyond that in this report. So I wouldn't put this as an action item or a proposal or really anything more than we're thinking about it in our own heads, right? That's where I am right now.
I think
Could I
Sure.
could I comment in support of the, here's was my thinking in terms of what was being done, and I had proposed breaking it out from a bullet point to sort of a paragraph, because I view it as the major issue concerning government accountability facing states and governments now today. And New York, which used to be a leader in thinking about these issues, has fallen woefully behind. Canada has adopted comprehensive litigation about how to deal with government algorithms. California has adopted comprehensive legislation. Washington, D.C. has for its local government. The European Union is looking at these issues. And my point is, we're just way behind. I hear you, Joel, that there's a database or a factual basis that we need to develop. But I view our role as alerting the legislature to this is a major issue. What's going on is that over time, government entities more and more are becoming reliant upon outside providers of these algorithms. Procurement laws basically encourage them to hire outside vendors who can do it cheaper than building it in-house. And then the vendors retain control over that and trade secret status on it. And it's fundamentally changing the relationship between government and business, and it's changing the way governments function. And there is a need to get their arms around it. One great example is Washington State. Wisconsin State. Over many years of Republican administrations, they cut back on their unemployment compensation system and staffing. They didn't want to fund it. COVID hit, and they were deluged with unemployment requests, and their system couldn't handle it. They had their phone would be out for 48, 72 hours. So they turned to Google to build a system to answer their phone. Google came in and did it, and then it expanded to being able to figure out how to field the calls. And Google runs their system, and they now have a situation where they're being taken to court all the time because claims are being turned down by Google, which set up the system, and the state doesn't even know the reasons the claims are being denied because they've kind of lost control of the system. Now that's an extreme example, and I'm not suggesting things like that are going on in New York, but what I'm suggesting is this is a huge problem for government accountability and people's understanding of how their government works and functions that we need to elevate for the legislature to look into this issue. That's the point here. That's what I think we should be advocating for.
I'm fundamentally in agreement with David, but as my job as an editor, I end up wrestling with wordsmithing all of the time. And the phrase that caught my eye was law has not kept pace with technology. And I turn that around to get to the heart of what David's really meaning. Technology is finding expanded use in law. For example, algorithms are not easily subject to FOIL. That, to me, distills the substance down to the core for a bullet point, as opposed to a whole paragraph where things are more likely to get lost.
Say that again?
Technology is finding expanded use in law. For example, algorithms are not easily subject to FOIL. And then more detail in the depth, in the heart of the report, because he gave some examples.
So, I'm not sure I understand the first sentence, but that's okay. I'm just.
Well, technology is finding expanded use in law, is the clause.
Right, I'm not sure I follow it, but that's okay. I don't argue with it. I'm just not sure I get it. But the second piece that you say, which algorithms are not easily subject to FOIL.
I want to have at least one example that people can grasp.
I think that it's probably true that evaluating an algorithm by a FOIL officer is a difficult concept. Right. It would be difficult to
proprietary algorithm.
Yeah, right. So I guess I don't dispute the truth of what you say, that algorithms are not easily, like there's no easy way to deal with a FOIL request for one. So I'm just trying to understand.
I can add complexity with great simplicity.
I'm not even suggesting that you've done that. I'm
Put
sorry.
that on a T-shirt.
Yeah.
I prefer law has not kept pace with technology to the reverse because it seems to me the former is self-evident, and I share Shoshana's view. I'm not sure I understand what the reverse means.
Wait, so Steve, are you talking about? What you're saying is that we're using technology to implement legal requirements? Is that what you mean? Like,
I'm saying that technology has stuck the camel's nose underneath the tent, the circus tent. To that.
I understand that more than the other thing you said.
That's a little bit.
Yeah.
do we put metaphors?
Oh no.
So many creative ones.
But I think our point is that law has not kept up with technology. That's really the heart of the algorithm section. Is that technology has not been addressed by the law, at least in New York. It has elsewhere. So I would stick with it.
So
David wrote.
How about just a thought? How about something in that bullet point that says something like agencies incorporating the law has not kept pace with technology theme in that bullet point, making it a bullet point, keeping it a bullet point, but incorporating the law has not kept pace by tinkering with that bullet point a little bit to incorporate that thought.
I don't remember where that
Agencies
is.
using automated decision-making for governmental functions must ensure that such
Now you know
as
why I
agencies-
now you know why I have white hair.
as, well, I mean, I'm just trying to marry
from
the
your
two
wisdom.
concepts without offending either camp. You know, as, we could just start the bullet with, you know, it's
Shoshana-
our view that law has kept pace with technology, specifically.
Shoshana, could I just comment on the bullet that was there? I mean, I'm fine with, I have no pride in authorship, but the point of the bullet that's there basically says, you know, we have to be sure things aren't designated trade secrets, and it sort of suggests that that's the problem. I think the problem, with, at least that I think we need to highlight for them, is that the basic structure of FOIL doesn't really provide transparency for algorithms. You know, even if you could get the code, that's not going to tell you if the algorithms are working properly, that there are other things that need to be done. So,
But I'm not sure that FOIL is the solution to finding out whether the things that are being done are being done. I'm just confused.
I agree with you completely. That's my point, Shoshana. FOIL is not the solution. But I view our role as being advocates for transparent government and saying that that's why you legislature need to look at this, because just FOIL does not provide the type of information the public needs to assess these, to know if they're biased, to know if
So
they
our
discriminate.
remit is to provide advice to the legislature on changes to FOIL.
Well, that's one
Or
way
at
of
least to
looking
draw
at
their
it.
attention to it.
So I guess
I think that, you know.
I mean, statutorily, if you look, that's what it says. So this is what you and I had a conversation about this early in the season, David, and this was my question to you over and over again. Is FOIL the tool? And we never really got to an answer, which maybe we're getting to now, which is why everyone struggled so much with this section over time.
I think that in the last meeting, I know you weren't there, David, and we discussed that there were alternatives to this problem, perhaps. I mean, I threw out some ideas, I've heard other ideas, to the extent that there's concern that, you know, rights are being violated, whatever, by these algorithms, who knows, whatever allegations are out there, I don't know. So I think that when we're talking about it in the context of FOIL being inadequate, it can only be inadequate if it was a proposed solution. I don't think it ever was. And we haven't even really identified the problem. So I think that that's my struggle here is we don't really know what the problem is, and we also don't really know what the solution is. So I think that's why I really want to tone it back and just say, this exists, and we think that it is something the legislature should investigate or look into, because there's zero, I mean, I'm not aware of anybody in the legislature clamoring or any bills about this. Are you? I mean, I don't know. So
don't count it as FOIL. Open government requires.
But that's not our
that's
remit.
not really what we're doing.
Stephen.
Committee on Open
But
Government.
Shoshana,
That's what it's called.
we're supposed to be
The
commenting
statutory
on.
remit is pretty specific.
I think that we're supposed to be reporting on, even if you take it narrowly, Shoshana, that our goal is to talk about FOIL. What we're saying is FOIL has a major hole in it. FOIL is
Potentially,
not
that's sort of where, that's how I tried to draft the section.
Right.
To talk about it as a FOIL, as a potentially a problem that can be addressed at least in part, or should be identified at least in part as remediable, at least in part by an amendment or a modification to FOIL. And that's how I addressed it several times. I've tried, 2 times I've tried, and
But it doesn't.
I don't think that it can be effectively addressed through FOIL for a simple reason that if we remove the trade secret protection entirely from whatever these algorithms are, then New York will certainly not be a leader. We're concerned about New York being a leader. We won't be, because nobody will contract with us. So, you know, that's one of the primary reasons, but we haven't really even discussed that as a group. So I think that we're so far ahead with talking about doomsday. I think we need to identify the problem and maybe discuss potential solutions after that problem's been identified, and we're not even there identifying the problem. I think this is the first.
I think it may help if, whether we do it now or like, you know, later in the discussion, if we tackle that section first before and come back to this bullet point. I think that will clarify what it is that we want
Now,
to
there
say.
you go, being reasonable again.
Usually it's you, so. I think, yeah, does that work? Like sort of if we move on, kind of like get into the body of what David paragraph suggestions was, and then come back to see how we can summarize whatever it is that we want to convey.
Sure.
So
Probably a
if we
good
do
idea.
that, if we do that, number F is the automated decision-making is colored in section. And, yeah, and so on David's draft, it was on page 14, and on my draft, it was page 12.
David's draft page.
It was his draft, it was on page 14 of his markup.
I mean, I think that, you know, so I guess I'll start the discussion because I talk a lot anyway. I think that the way that the draft was changed, you know, this section is greatly expanded. I mean, I think that where I would begin is the draft that Shoshana circulated after the last meeting, and I would pare maybe down from that. Because I think that, you know, while well written, I can't agree to most of what's in here, well, really almost all of it, but I think that there's, you know, a lot of sort of innuendo about, you know, potential wrongdoing. It's very concerning to me. I don't know if anybody else has any thoughts.
Yeah, I just feel, and you know, to make it easier and as a start, you know, I just thought that in the last meeting, we kind of agreed to work from whatever the committee had drafted, which is what is in Shoshana's version. And then, you know, I was trying to catch up on emails, and then I realized, like, oh wait, they changed, you know, like, you guys are working off another language, and to me that was a little bit frustrating because it took me back to like, let me sit down and like review this new language. So for the sake of not revisiting a conversation that we had at the last meeting and kind of like moving forward, I think we should start this conversation with the language that we had already agreed upon at the last meeting and sort of discuss where to go from that. Because it will never end if we keep changing this language.
So just for clarity's sake, at our last meeting, there was, I was listening and I tried to capture the consensus of what was agreed at the last meeting in the draft that I then circulated on the 3rd of November. Subsequently, there were other drafts that came in. Right before today's meeting, we're hearing from people who had reviewed the draft from 11.3, which was meant to encapsulate the consensus reached at the 19th of October meeting. And we had 4 people write in saying we would like to revert to the draft circulated on 11.3. Do we still have that consensus of those 4 people saying we'd like to start with the 11.3 version?
And I still have comments on the.
I understand. So do we still have those 4 people wanting to go back and start with the 11.3 version?
Yeah, I think that's where I would.
Yes. Too much to start from the new version, so I prefer to work from the clean document and then incorporate any edits to that.
I have problems with them both
I do
because they are wordy.
Yeah, I do too.
And what you really are talking about is the evaluation of algorithms has become problematic.
Yep.
Period.
Yeah, so what we had said at our last meeting.
How do agencies test and evaluate them?
And I think for the sake of getting us started on what the language should be, I just thought that we had agreed upon working off that clean copy.
We also had said, at least in my notes,
Come on, Steven.
our intent was to reduce and simplify the
You're
content.
giving us a third copy now?
Yeah.
Okay.
That sounds right.
Alright, so let's make a decision on that, and I'm still, you know, saying my position in the emails that we should work from the clean copy, so that's my position.
Okay, so I'm gonna guess from this that David and Franklin at least do not agree with that they would like to work from David's version. But we have 4 people who want to work from the 11.3 version based on the consensus reached at the last meeting. Anybody else have a view about where to start?
I'm fine with starting with the 11.3 version.
Yeah, me too.
We just need to move forward, right?
Okay,
Alright.
But I like your comments on it.
Alright.
I mean, in the first paragraph, as I read David's, he wants to change ensure to not promote, which seems perfectly, I mean, am I missing something?
So now should we go sentence by sentence? Or how should we do it?
Well,
Steven, you have authority.
I was comparing the 11.3 to David's November 7th comments, and it doesn't seem to me that they're very extensive.
oh, and it's the
They
entire
are.
thing is stricken,
They are.
Franklin.
Yeah.
You're reading probably a conformed version of David's comments. I have no idea what you're reading, but
I'm reading what
David
Pam just brought to us.
struck virtually the entire paragraph and rewrote it.
That's not mine, yeah.
Okay.
So I think, well, I'll just say what I would do.
Yes.
So what I would do
That's why it
is
looks
I
so
would
clean.
take Shoshana's version.
Oh, we've jumped to
let's
the
send out to
algorithm.
Go to algorithm.
Ah, okay.
And I would keep the original first paragraph the way it was, and then the second paragraph, I would.
Gotcha. I didn't know where it was.
The second paragraph is just that one sentence, or no? Sorry.
Here it is.
Actually, I have a comment on the first paragraph.
Yeah, I think she
Okay.
wants to strike the bail reform.
Well, I,
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry, I'm
Like-
looking at where, I was trying to like categorize it into like what we should eliminate. So
So
what I'd like to eliminate is everything after, you know what, actually, I'm not gonna talk anymore. So you go ahead.
you're on timeout, Joe.
Alright, I'm gonna talk for just a second. On the first sentence, my only comment on the first sentence in the 11.3 document is the use of the word increasingly, because that seems speculative. That's it. That's all I have to say about the first sentence.
Okay,
We can assume that they're using algorithms, but whether or not it is increased in use, I don't know that we know that.
I
True,
think
but
you're right.
also like all levels of government, do we know that? Like,
I
that's,
just
that's
said
wild.
that agencies are
Can
increasingly
I
using
just,
algorithms.
Can I'm sorry, could you repeat what that is being proposed to strike in the third sentence?
I'll read the sentence. The committee suspects that agencies are using algorithms and machine learning technologies to conduct government business.
No, that at all levels of government.
I thought I struck that out.
Oh, yeah.
I was just gonna say agencies are increasingly using algorithms,
So we
and I think
struck-
that's obvious and we don't need proof.
Okay.
Agencies are increasingly using algorithms and machine learning technologies to conduct government business.
So the
wrong
sentence would
with
read
your
again.
First
The
sentence.
committee suspects that agencies are using.
No, the committee, just start with agencies.
Oh, that's.
What's wrong with
better.
David's
Yeah.
sentence?
Let them, this is okay.
So we're
Don't
getting
fight
rid
the
of
next
the.
one. We'll never get done.
Well, we're getting rid of the committee
Sorry,
suspects.
I think
the
yours
committee suspects
is much
that
more
it starts with
It gets
agencies at
around the
all-
suspects.
Agencies at all
Are
levels.
using?
Agencies are increasingly using algorithms and machine learning technologies to conduct government business.
But are they?
Are we, okay, so that suggests that there's evidence that we know that that's
Yeah,
happening.
we-
I don't know
like
if that's what people are
Okay.
saying that they like.
Say something else, Steven.
But
Do
they get
you
more-
really believe that agencies are using fewer algorithms?
Well, can
Well, I'm gonna tell you
for the
that.
first sentence.
Yeah, David's first sentence is pretty much what
So
you're
David's
saying.
first sentence is
Yeah, That's what I'm
growing
saying.
use of, I'm trying to like work through that, it's
The
sorry,
growing
David,
use of
of
algorithms
algorithms and machine learning
technologies
technologies to conduct government business at all levels of government around the nation has been widely reported. So we could maybe start with that. I know some people had to all maybe do we wanna focus just?
We can start with that. I would not use at all levels of government around the nation. Like,
Yeah, that's wordy.
that
But
is too much.
But that's what's been widely reported. That's what
We
saying.
are a state agency right now, so the growing use of,
So, but, Soila, to be fair, we may not need to say at all levels of government, but this committee is meant to address issues happening at all levels of government. So if we said
That's what's been
the,
reported.
the growing use of algorithms and machine learning technologies to conduct government business in government around the nation has been widely reported, or at all levels of,
So why don't we just say that,
if it's what's been reported, I'm not sure, like, there's a,
can't we say something like the committee is interested in learning the extent that we are using these,
But
right?
is the committee
that's the
interested, or are we
starting point.
suggesting the legislature?
Or, that's what I
should?
mean, sorry, yeah, that's what I mean, right? You're
Thank you,
right.
Amit. I don't
So
know.
like, instead of just
Why
saying it's a
not-
fact, why don't we just say, we're interested in knowing if it's true?
I think
And
Why
you
not
guys-
say the growing use of algorithms and machine learning technology to conduct government business has been around the nation, has been widely reported, and strike the all levels of government, and that's what the footnote
that's what I was
relates
trying to get to, Franklin. That's what I was trying to get to. Is-
Just
is
get
that-
rid of the all
that's-
levels of government. I think that's implicit, and just say around the nation has been widely reported. And that's important because we might be encouraging the legislature to look at solutions in other parts of the nation.
So, and keeping the citation.
Well,
Yeah.
I just want to speak to the citation briefly.
Mhm.
I'm not super comfortable saying it's been widely reported without citing a single report.
Yeah, because there isn't one in there.
I can't get behind that.
Okay,
If we're gonna say it's
Fair
been
enough.
widely reported, we need to at least
Can't trust
cite
newspapers
a
anyway.
handful of reports, or at least one.
What?
Heard that, good.
so then should we say something along the lines of,
Sorry,
Status citation.
now we're just losing it.
sorry.
Hey, we're done.
the legislature should look into the growing use of?
Well, I think,
Strike
yeah,
that
like,
has been
That's a better
widely
starting
reported?
point.
that's what I would prefer, because that way it's proactive, but we're not assuming anything, but we are suggesting that they look into it.
Why don't we add a citation to the footnote? It's either
I
widely
think that the
reported
footnote,
or
which had been provided by David, would conclude more if there were more, right? So, I don't know, did you select one just because it was one, or?
Can you come
And
up
you
with
selected
another
the Texas
citation?
A&M article, but not a
Certainly.
report, which,
There are many articles that could be cited.
So,
You want cited?
So let's add a citation to 2 and leave it with widely reported.
well, I don't know, I mean, that's, I'm uncomfortable doing that without having read the stuff that's
Yes,
citation, I mean.
I was about to say, we don't want to cite an article and then like,
Yeah, I mean, I think.
Is there a problem with saying the legislature should,
no, that sounds good.
the legislature
I think
should?
That's the point of what we're trying to make, that the legislature should do something, right? So we need to say what we're saying at this point.
Alright, so the legislature should
No, I think
explore.
Explore.
explore
Yeah.
Explore
the growing
the growing
use.
use
Study is good.
Study.
to conduct government business, period.
Yes, that's what I would do.
Oh, should explore reports of.
Maybe why reports, right?
Right, Steven is like.
Because I don't want them to. No, because.
No, don't go vague.
Stop.
Yeah, they,
Study.
because they shouldn't be, yeah, they should definitely be investigating what's
Should
actually.
explore the growing use of, and then just end the sentence with government business.
Yeah, we can. Are you giving up on us, Franklin?
I think she's taking a break.
Wait, can we take a little break?
If you'd like, we can't discuss any government business during the break. If you want to go get a coffee, you absolutely can do that.
I'm happy to move forward.
Yeah. So the legislature should explore the growing use of algorithms and machine learning technologies to conduct government business, period.
Yes.
Go
Yeah,
there.
I like
Yes.
that.
Okay,
Yeah, I've got an open house at our newspaper at 5 o'clock, so.
And,
90-minute drive.
just to be clear, are we expecting to add a citation to that, or that is in lieu of the Good, I like that, yes.
So should we also remove
The citation.
the citation?
well, I'm
Or
just
do
working
we
from the
keep it?
11.3
From the,
version.
there aren't any citations.
Oh, right, okay.
So I just changed the
So
first
going
sentence.
back to the 11.3 now, to the second
To
sentence,
the second sentence,
Yeah,
of
okay.
11.3.
as we understand them, right?
Yep, so, and the next, to making sure that we strike the,
I would eliminate that, all of that,
which,
that sentence,
as we understand them?
yes. And I think I would say that because we don't really know what we're doing, right? Isn't that the point of the first sentence, is to figure out what actually we are doing? So I think we should make no assumption in here, right, around what is actually occurring.
That's not an assumption, really. It's a reasonable description. And it's not inclusive or exclusive. These are done around there, and nor do we have to provide evidence. It does explain what the technology is used for.
I mean, but we don't know what it's used for, right? Isn't that the point?
Well, I think the issue is really the next sentence, right? The algorithms seem to be used to make, that's the one that's.
Yeah,
I think that's more problematic.
Yeah, oh, I do not like that sentence at all. But for the purpose of the second sentence, I think it's just describing what this issue
Can
does, right? Like, we're not, like, what they can do, we're not
So-
taking any position on it.
The as we understand them doesn't need to be there in a capital C for computer.
If we leave that in, then I'd be okay with that, but I would like the remainder removed, right?
Yes, I have a lot of issues with this because we are literally jumping into like conclusions about like basically saying like, you know, I was a former prosecutor and then saying that, you know, bail and sentencing is set by a system is just a conclusion that I would not, should
wait a
not
minute.
make.
Well, wait a minute, because bail and parole are the one thing we know for sure they're using algorithms because they're mandated by the legislature to use the Compass system, which has been highly controversial around the country. In fact, there's litigation going on now by a Fordham law professor about the use of Compass in New York State, the fact that there's no transparency around it.
I think those are arguments, and you know, we should not be drawing a conclusion. And like all these examples are things that I cannot verify that is a fact. Like, you know, police resources using a system, or like, you know, public housing and so on. I don't think we're in a position to.
Well, it's being actively litigated, so
Yeah.
there's no conclusion yet.
The potential use of these algorithms requires the facility for open examination.
So we've already suggested that the legislature should explore it, so that's, so we have a first sentence and we have a second sentence describing what algorithms, as we understand them, are. So there's a proposal to strike sentences 3 and 4
Yes.
from that first paragraph.
Yes. Yes.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Yep.
What do you think, Stephen? What do you think, Peter?
But are you really interested in how these algorithms are tested and evaluated? It's a question, not a statement, not a sentence to me.
It's so not a FOIL question, but I
Personally, no, but I think so.
Open government question.
So we still have four people in moving to strike those two sentences.
Starting with many agencies are likely to.
starting with algorithms seem to be used
The middle of the first paragraph.
in the middle of the first paragraph, and then ending with the end of that
Seem to use,
paragraph.
okay.
The last two sentences.
I guess put conversely, we don't have 6 who are in favor of the sentences, is that right?
Is it true that FOIL is an opportunity to assure the integrity? To examine the integrity, to embrace public confidence in these algorithms?
I don't think
I
we're,
don't know.
I think it's just
really don't know.
hyperbolic, I just don't know if it's, I don't know.
And honestly, I mean, it goes back to David's point, where even if they gave out the source code with the ones and the zeros and all of this, it still wouldn't,
I mean, these things have
it
to
wouldn't be
tested.
useful.
but I just don't, bottom line, these two sentences, like, we already say that it should be investigated, like, let's study and look into it,
Right.
like, we're not adding anything by these two sentences, instead of like drawing speculations and jumping into conclusions.
Yeah, I was
which
just gonna say, I
am
think we ask the question and then we conclude it, it doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
not. Like, well, this is, no, that's not our finding, like, I cannot.
What you're really trying to do is encourage trust in government.
So maybe the second paragraph is what that's about,
Okay.
right?
Isn't the first or the second sentences though kind of definitive? I mean, I'm all right with taking out the last sentence.
What about Stephen's proposal, which I understood to be to start that third sentence with algorithms may be used rather than seem to be? I think it's valuable to note the potential sweep of these. And every one of the examples in there are things that have been subject to litigation around the country. So we know that there are algorithms doing that in various places without saying that they are being used here. And then drop, if you want, the last sentence.
I agree.
So, complicated. I'm trying to figure out where we have support to move forward. And it's a patchwork quilt.
I would prefer to just strike it out, because I don't think we're talking, I mean, I think in terms of discussing New York State, that's why we need to look into it.
We just dropped, Soila, I think, went to use the ladies' room for a moment, and I know doesn't like that third sentence, David, so I don't think that she would support that, even with the change to may. But I don't know, maybe we should wait for her to come back, but I'm just trying to figure out where we have consensus.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know, I just don't know if I can support a report that makes that kind of speculation about what's going on, whether it's been in other places or not, whatever, but, I just think it needs to be eliminated. because-
Your thought is that it's enough to flag the issue
Right.
without making conclusions about it.
I don't wanna make any conclusions.
Okay.
And whether or not they're based in some sort of a report or a fact, or Washington State did it, and whatever, I mean, congratulations to them, but I just don't think, I think it's premature because we don't know in New York State, and I don't wanna.
No, you don't know this in New York State, but what you need to know, or what they need to know, is that it's a diverse subject and a substantive one with a lot of consequences. And what this is not descriptive of what New York does, but indicative of how they can be used.
So what losing these two sentences
So-
loses potentially is an explanation of
Wait.
what types of decisions are potentially being made. But if you take out those two sentences and combine the first and second paragraphs, the first two sentences of the first paragraph, the first sentence as redone, and the second sentence, and then combine it with the second paragraph, what you lose by specific example, you gain by what Stephen, you were talking about earlier, which is sort of the idea that this is an accountability issue, without giving them examples of what we speculate might be the kinds of decisions that are getting made.
I would almost, what David said was algorithms, using the third sentence of the first one, algorithms may be used to make decisions ranging from distributing social welfare benefits to allocating police resources, assigning families to public housing and students to magnet schools, setting bail and deciding who's eligible for parole across the United States. We lack, going down to the last sentence, we lack the data to specifically define the degree to which agencies in New York utilize automated government decision-making, the degree to which access to that information is being denied by agencies in New York, and what appropriate solutions may be. In other words, let's
I like that last sentence.
That's my sentence. Yay!
So
Winning.
saying
I like
this is the range, how they're used,
So,
and
but
we need
Soila,
much more
that would require you to
information
agree to that third sentence. You're still not into that third sentence, okay?
Did you take a look or listen to how I read it? You didn't like?
No.
He
Last
changed
reading
seems to may.
The algorithms may be used to make decisions ranging from is descriptive, but not specific to New York.
What if we took across the United States out of it
I don't mind that either.
and switched it up to say something like, in other states, comma, algorithms have been used to make decisions, and then go on from there, because that kind of takes the pressure off of like, hey, we're not doing this here, we don't know that it's being done here, but in other states, we have seen things like this being done.
Well, maybe what we could do is take out specific references and say algorithms may be used to make
In decision-making processes.
maybe, right, or, yeah.
That's sort of what
important
the
decisions.
second paragraph says. So that's why I don't,
I know, it's kind of that,
I mean, we could combine, I mean, as tempting as it is, to eliminate everything except the second sentence, the last sentence of that second paragraph, which I'm in favor of as well, but I don't get a vote. You know, the proposal to algorithms may be used to make decisions ranging from distributing whatever. Are you okay with that if we eliminate the reference to bail reform? I'm talking to Soila really, to the parole and bail reform.
What are you saying, Ian?
So if the sentence, if the third sentence of the first paragraph read, algorithms may be used to make decisions ranging from distributing social welfare benefits to allocating police resources, assigning families to public housing, and students to magnet schools. Full stop.
yeah, I would still.
You don't like any of the examples?
So don't you guys think that we're like sort of like suggesting like
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
why I don't like it. I think that we should just
It
maybe.
implies we're doing it.
we're
Right.
implies
I
we're
think it implies that
suggesting
that's what we're
that
doing.
we know that stuff.
Okay, I get it. I'm just trying to find a compromise.
So I
So-
would say algorithms may be used to make a wide range of decisions, period.
Yeah.
Which I know is duplicative of the second sentence.
No, that's fine. Just give me a second. So algorithms may be used to make a wide range of decisions, period. And then skip to, however, we lack the data
Yeah.
to
Yes.
specifically define the
Yes.
degree.
Yes, I think, if I'm just gonna be quite frank, that's probably the extent to anything I can read to anyway.
Yeah. Yes.
All right, there is a third paragraph. There is a third paragraph.
Oh
I don't think we need it.
Okay. So, if we have the section, I'll read it. I'm gonna read it out.
Yeah, please.
The legislature should explore the growing use of algorithms and machine learning technologies to conduct government business. As we understand them, computer algorithms in this context can be considered both automated sets of instructions and weights to be given to data sets for the purpose of rendering an automated decision based on the data available, and the codes, software programming, or other proprietary information utilized in the processing of the data inputs. Algorithms may be used to make a wide range of decisions. However, we lack the data to specifically define the degree to which agencies in New York utilize automated governmental decision-making, the degree to which access to that information is being denied by agencies in New York, and what appropriate solutions might be, period.
I mean,
I'm okay with that.
I feel like
yes.
the first sentence and the last sentence are the real point here, and they're great.
Yes.
Yeah, I agree.
And then if we have to
It's
put it
stricken.
in the summary section, it should be one of those sentences, like something like
They don't.
summary.
All right, so we have, that is one proposal. That is one proposal. So we have, I feel that we have some support for that proposal, but I don't know if we have
Yes.
enough support. So can we,
I can live with that.
I can.
I'm actually happy that I think it says, it starts the conversation, it gets us to where we need to be without making assumptions, but it does call on the legislature to take action.
David, what do you think it strips?
I think.
everything.
I think that, the point of this is to really raise the alarm for the legislature that these are problems. I think taking out the examples, which are known examples of ways these are being used and are being litigated around the country, diminishes the importance of it. You know, and another possibility is just to have a minority report. If people really are reluctant to go on record about this, you know, we can have a minority statement. And that's another option. We've never done that in the past, but that could be a way to solve the problem.
Well, what you're really saying is that these issues are being, without example, or you don't necessarily need an example to say that these issues are being litigated around the country. Or these
And in New
these
York.
issues,
In New
and
York.
in New York. But what you're saying is that this is an essential issue to deal with now because it's being litigated around the country.
Well, not just because of the litigation, because it's a growing problem, and that it's a fundamental issue going forward for government accountability. That our current way of doing things.
Well, that's a clear statement. This is a fundamental issue of government accountability. Is a clear statement of the weight. Does that belong in there?
I mean, it's in the second paragraph, it's in the sentences that you struck from the second paragraph.
Hoist on my own.
I mean, I'm not suggesting that that's the case, but I'm just saying that that is one of the things that was removed in this condensation.
Yeah. I mean, one thing, you know, there's a paragraph in what I had proposed, quoting one of these experts out there, Hannah Block-Weber, about the problem. And I don't know, you know, maybe one way to handle it is to put that back in. It's sort of a rephrasing of this paragraph. But what I had put in was, while algorithms hold the promise to make government function more effectively, their rapidly growing use presents new issues for public accountability, data privacy, and civil liberties. As one knowledgeable commenter has observed, and then there's a quote there about artificial intelligence and machine learning creating significant obstacles for those seeking algorithmic justice, with a cite to her article. And then the thought that the limit of current laws like FOIL to provide meaningful accountability when algorithms are used to conduct government function is a topic of growing concern. Again, it's all just ways of raising for the legislature that this is an issue they need to look at. That you know, it's beyond the kin of what FOIL can accomplish.
I think we have already raised that with the language. You know, I think Stephen, you're like on the fence. I think Peter, Amanda, Joel, and Ian. What do you think? You know, the language that. Yeah.
I like the prior version. I mean, I
Yeah.
don't want to reiterate
Yeah.
that we are, you know, concerned. I think we already say that, or else we wouldn't even raise it to begin with. You know, I mean, I think you could probably find a lot of articles, right, where people say a lot of things about these, including that they're great. We should have a chip implanted in our head.
Right.
You know, who knows?
Why should we point out one person saying that?
I think we just need to investigate it, and I think we just need to keep it simple and short.
Yes, and
I really don't
I
want
think
to.
we have 5 people for it.
The quote does raise the issue of a public-private. What she called it, public-private collaborations are a very difficult thing that the legislature is going to have to deal with. And that's not in the draft that so far you have been in favor of.
But I think that's something that they need to deal with when they weigh their options, right? Because, and I think that we've discussed that here, which is one of the reasons why FOIL might not be appropriate is because it would essentially eliminate the most highly competitive vendors from our bidder pool, and the state wouldn't be able to function properly. That's one of the concerns, but that's something they're going to have to weigh when they come up with a solution. But I don't think that we even know that, or we even know what the breadth of that is, or what the vendors would even say, because they haven't been solicited until we have that investigation and they look into it. So I want to keep it simple. I really do.
And
I
think
like
you're
the
making
block
5.
quote.
So I agree with everything Joel says about we don't know. I mean, that's part of the problem is we don't know. My view is just so that we need to put enough in here to catch the attention of the legislature, and just to say algorithms can be used for lots of things, you might look into it, really downplays the significance of what I think this issue is.
I
So I
think
guess-
we should take a vote at this time.
I also
I like the quote.
I like the
I like
quote
the
also.
quote.
Okay, so those that want to move forward with what we already, you know, sort of discussed, and those who want to add the quote, I think that's the vote right now. So,
Okay, you know, we can take a poll about
Can
this
I just ask
section.
a clarifying question? Is the use of a quote something that is typically done in the annual reports?
No, not historically.
I couldn't hear the
I mean, we
question.
use a quote in the beginning.
Have we ever?
Usually
Cover
in
page.
the
The question was, have we used quotes in previous reports?
Of course we have.
Yeah.
Of course we have. We quote judicial opinions, we quote law review articles we did when we were fighting about 58.
Yeah, I would suggest that we include the quote in the surrounding sentences. It seems to me it succinctly articulates, there may be 50 other people saying the same thing or something different, but it's an academic citing the issue.
And pithy.
The thing is that it goes back to the point that when you're endorsing this
view.
view,
Right.
if you place it, which is what we do at
Yeah,
this.
I mean, I
so-
can't,
It's,
obviously.
That's why I'm not gonna
it's
do
certainly
that.
endorsing the issue, yes.
All right, perhaps- Okay, so we have proposal
Yep.
with and when it's with the with has the quotation and what Franklin suggested were the surrounding sentences. Should we look and see what those are?
It's
You
essentially
mean the
what I
one
read.
before and after?
Yeah. It's essentially the first sentence of what your paragraph 2 was, with then the quote and another sentence wrapping it
Yeah,
up.
and I have no problem endorsing the quote. I mean, we're citing her as an academic, but if you don't believe this, then we shouldn't have the whole section.
I'm just trying to find it because I've now
With the quotes in
gotten
there.
lost.
On David's
Yeah.
version, it's in the middle
Oh,
of page
14, it's in the
14.
first. Oh, I see,
Yeah.
I see. It's the- So that paragraph. Okay,
The sentence kind of rephrases the quote really, but I think, for me, the way that what the quote says is, by starting, for example, the second sentence in the quote, in theory, there's a negative implication there, right? You're automatically making an assumption. And then the following, but, right, then there's a positive implication here, like, oh, well, this is probably true, it follows, right? So we are making an assumption. It's not only just a restatement, I think that it is absolutely casting this in the light, which, whatever, I mean, that's fine, but it's just something I can't support, including the sentence prior.
okay. Support for proposal with the quote and whatever the surrounding sentences.
I'm in favor of that.
4. Support without. 4. Okay.
2 balls out of 3?
Is that helpful?
That's terrific, guys. I'm thrilled. Okay. Just
Could I hear a little more? I mean, we always have tried to work to come to consensus. And I guess I'd like to hear a little more from the people who opposed the quote. What is in that quote that you can't endorse? Is it the statement that the emergence of governance rests on public-private collaborations? To me, that's a tautology. It's true. That it expands both public and private power, I think that's true too. That it aggravates accountability gaps, that's the whole reason for this section. I just don't think that there's anything that is particularly problematic. And we're not necessarily endorsing it. We're just saying this is what one commentator has observed, and it may be a reason you should look at it, legislature. It's not like we're I guess I
Thinking
really
about
just don't
this,
understand.
once
I don't
you
understand
look
the
at the
opposition.
You have to know what the citation also says, right? Like,
So I think, if we go by it one by one, right? So I think we kind of are endorsing it, right? Because if it is one amongst many views, if we include one, we're kind of excluding the other ones. But, like for
What is the
go through
view we're
first
what is the view we're excluding? What is the view we're excluding?
Well, I mean, I guess we
A
could have
different opinion.
yeah, a different opinion, anything. I don't have a library of random opposing views in front of me, but I'm sure there are.
But his
some.
point is there's nothing controversial in the
I
quote.
disagree, and I was just getting to that. So I think that the first sentence where it says artificial intelligence and machine learning are both a blessing and a curse for governments. I mean, that's an argument, right? I mean, that is a point of view. I think it's a curse, personally, but I like doing things on paper. The second sentence, in theory, comma, algorithmic governance, right? So when you start that sentence where you're saying in theory, this is what I said earlier, what you're saying, you're casting that in a negative light. Like, well, that's what people say, but it's really a lie. That is the implication to me, and I'm not going to endorse that. When you begin the third sentence with, but the emergence of automation, you're casting what's to follow in a positive light, saying that it rests on collaboration, blah, 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 et cetera, et cetera. It could also aggravate transparency. You're sort of endorsing that by adding the but. I mean, these are things that we're actually calling to investigate in this report, and I don't want to endorse one over the other points of view by including this in there.
And on top of that, I haven't read the citation 3 or this person's point of view or what that person has cited before, or like what that person thinks, or like anything else that may be controversial in that article. So like I'm not gonna move to incorporate this quote in that citation that is being said in that article that I know anything about.
Yeah, that's where I'm at too. If we had to make a decision today, I can't say yes to this quote. I'd rather have time to think about and read the entire paper.
That's funny because hearing both of them, I don't necessarily embrace Joel's conclusion about the sentences, nor do I necessarily embrace the idea that simply because you happen to include this particular paragraph that you have to agree with everything else that's said by this author. I don't think either one of those is necessarily
The question is, why do we even walk ourselves into that sort of place? There's no need, like we're already saying investigate this, like why sort of like put ourselves in a position where it's just like, let's just put this in there and see what happens. It's like going to court and being like, well, like here's the case. So
And it goes back to my earlier question that I don't think we have an answer for, which is who in the legislature's even brought this up, right? We're already being the vanguard here. We're already saying bring it up. So, I mean, I think that just like there's some sort of clamoring, not going to start unless we begin the conversation, which I think we do effectively. There have been no investigations yet. We're starting a conversation. I don't want this in there because it concludes. I really strongly agree with it. I believe it does.
Well, I'm glad to see we've changed minds.
So David, you had asked the question to hear more. Did you hear more? No, okay.
I heard more. I don't think it changed my view, though.
Okay,
Thank you.
Shoshana, what I would say is that if the goal is to come up with a report today that we are comfortable voting on, I'm not sure that we're gonna get to that point because we've made so many edits already. And without having the ability to sort of read it all in one spot, it's gonna be challenging. So every time we add something that's in doubt or in question, it's where I think we're getting further away from coming up to a consensus where we can all vote to approve an annual report today.
How about this, just like we did before? We have 2 versions so far, with the quote and without the quote. How about we just put that on hold and move on to the other things? And then revisit that, whether it's today or I don't know. But
I'm perfectly willing to take that quote and rework it so that it happens to be general text, so that it doesn't include the
what's the
quote.
point then? Like, I thought
The
you
point
were
the point is that it doesn't require support of that author or necessarily reading. I think there's meat enough in what's said there that we can say it in our own words in a way that does not require quotation.
Wouldn't that kind of be the sentence before it, though? Like, well, algorithms hold the promise to make everything,
that is the summary of that quote.
which I think
Well,
Well-
algorithms hold the promise to make government function more effectively. Their rapidly growing use presents new issues for public accountability, data privacy, and civil liberties. Period.
Like I think the
That is
reason
a summary of that.
I think the reason we want that eliminated is because that's what we want the legislature to look into specifically.
So how about we pose it as a question, so we can say the legislature should examine.
Could I propose a compromise that maybe doesn't satisfy anybody, but go back to where we were on the combination of the first 2 paragraphs? If we go back there and add back in the first sentence of the second paragraph before the however.
Yeah, that's the introduction into the quote. So this sentence.
Just add that back in.
Peter is a
I have a trouble, I have to leave, I apologize.
All right.
Thank you.
Sorry to lose your vote, Peter.
He said good luck.
Yeah, wow.
While algorithms hold the promise to make government function more effectively, their rapidly growing use likely presents significant new issues of public accountability, data privacy, and civil liberties across New York State.
And then go however. pick up your however.
However,
Because then you're using likely present these issues, so we're making a conclusion already, right? Which is.
how about we say may present?
May
May present new issues.
I'm just
While algorithms hold the promise to make government function more effectively, their rapidly growing use may present new issues for public accountability, data privacy, and civil liberties across New York State.
leave in significant, and I can go along with that.
Well, you had stricken it in your draft, that's why I.
No,
I
but
changed
I put in a lot of other language.
I
May
mean,
Let's go
present
back.
significant, okay.
I'm just throwing this out there, I don't know if I can support a report with this sentence in it, so I'm gonna have to take it back, so I definitely can't
You
vote.
can't vote today,
If
okay.
that's the goal. I mean, if something like that has to be in there, I definitely cannot vote for that.
Can you read that again? I'm so sorry.
While algorithms hold the promise to make government function more effectively, their rapidly growing use may present significant new issues for public accountability, data privacy, and civil liberties across New York State.
And that is instead of what or where?
That is the first sentence of the second paragraph of the 11.3 draft, with the addition of may present significant and the deletion of likely presents significant.
We're asking to put that back in.
Instead of the quotation, David is suggesting that he may be able to support re-including this sentence with the change from likely presents to may present.
But the issue is that, like, one, we are endorsing while, we're endorsing that they hold the promise to make government function more effectively. Cannot do that, like, we're endorsing this, like.
While
they hold the
algorithms
promise.
may hold the promise,
I can't believe that we're arguing about whether algorithms hold the promise to be more efficient. You're worried about endorsing that as a concept? Really? Are we at that level?
Don't diminish your opinion, David, that's not nice.
Okay, may.
may present, may hold and may present.
Say 6 and 1/2 dozen the other.
Well,
Yep.
Yeah. Can you support, would
No,
you?
I'm headed to come back.
Okay, so okay.
Function.
So we would need 6 with an abstention. So that's everyone. If we want to put this to bed today.
That works for me.
I mean, I feel like in order to get, I'd want to see the full section F in
But
our,
Section F, I'll read it to you. We're not going to be able to get it.
right, but
Yeah.
I just.
Do you want me to read it out? Should I read it out again?
That'd be my goal.
The legislature should explore the growing use of algorithms and machine learning technologies to conduct government business. As we understand them, computer algorithms in this context can be considered both automated sets of instructions and weights to be given to data sets for the purpose of rendering an automated decision based on the data available, and the codes, software programming, or other proprietary information utilized in the processing of data inputs. While algorithms may hold the promise to make government function more effectively, their rapidly growing use may present significant new issues for public accountability, data privacy, and civil liberties across New York State. However, we lack the data to specifically define the degree to which agencies in New York utilize automated governmental decision-making, the degree to which access to that information is being denied by agencies in New York, and what appropriate solutions might be.
I'm in favor.
I can live with that.
I can go with it.
How about you two in
Franklin
New
and
York
David,
City?
are you okay with what Shoshana just read?
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, I think something is lost by not going with additional detail.
So are you in
But-
favor or can you
Well,
support it?
this watered down version, I guess so.
Okay,
So that's a yes? Okay, we agreed on something.
all right, so let's move back
Alright.
to where we were. Thank you
Oh, so
for,
we need a vote now.
Oh,
Right.
no,
Back to the.
so given the section that has resulted from this deliberation, what bullet should be there
I think we
Wait,
should
can
pick
we,
like
are
one of the
we-
sentences that we
wait,
already agree
Hey,
on.
wait, before we go back to the bullets, can we finish the section? Wait, there's another paragraph.
But we struck
No,
it.
that is it, that is it. That's what
We
we
struck
agreed
that
upon,
paragraph. The third
The whole-
paragraph, we struck it.
the whole paragraph.
That
Well,
was the whole thing.
I didn't understand that, and I would like to raise an objection to that. I think at a minimum, we need to keep
No,
maybe
no,
the
that's,
last.
we have compromised. No,
No, I thought that
for
paragraph was in too. Sorry.
absolutely not.
No, that was out.
I thought that that's just what
We
we
were, I think we need to put in at least the
No, that is
last.
just in general.
Excuse me, can I be heard, please? Could I be heard, please? It doesn't call on the legislature to do anything. And I think at a
The
minimum,
first
we
sentence,
should.
the
it calls on them to
legislature to study
explore
it.
it.
What, the first sentence of what?
The first sentence of the
whole
section
section.
begins, the legislature should explore the growing use of algorithms to conduct government business.
That's what we agreed to in the language edits.
Yeah, but the last sentence is more than that,
Where,
by requiring more detailed
So
agency.
when I read it out loud, remember we edited the first sentence, David, to start, the legislature should explore the growing use of algorithms and machine learning to conduct, technologies to conduct government business. That was the first sentence of the section.
Yeah, I thought the third paragraph was in, because when you,
I'm
I
fine.
thought we were only discussing.
I don't think anyone thought that.
There's no need for the third paragraph.
Well, someone did.
I'm
Say no.
fine, I'm fine with it. Let's go back
David's
to-
fine with it, so.
Yeah,
So David's all right?
I'm fine with it, yep.
How about you, Franklin?
I'm not, but I'll be outvoted.
I'm sorry, I didn't get the last
I'm
bit.
not, but I'll be outvoted.
Well, if we don't have it 6, then we can't move on.
Yeah, because Peter isn't here now.
Peter isn't here and Joel's abstained.
Oh,
All right, well, I think there is some meat in that last paragraph that is lost. For example, where do we say, and maybe we do, it's really hard to follow, that either the legislature directly or by requiring detailed agency data reporting regarding the use of these exemptions to disclosure to the committee. Boy, that's awkwardly put, but I mean, I think there's some concepts in this that are not in the what's now one paragraph.
So what
I
we've
think-
done instead, Franklin, is call on the legislature to explore the use and by what methods they do that exploration, we leave to them.
Right, and I thought the whole point of doing that was to kind of open it up to something other than FOIL that we currently have, and by sticking to this third paragraph and tying it all back to trade secret exemptions and the citation to public officers law, that's really kind of
Narrowing.
disagreeing also with our first paragraph, which is saying legislature, go look at
I
this.
disagree that all that discussion of oil is off point.
Yeah.
I support the change. What I was trying to get in is be sure we're calling on the legislature for action in the last sentence. But if we have that up front, I'm fine with it. And I agree with removing the discussion of trade secrets and FOIL because I think they're really off point.
Okay, excellent. I agree that it was off point too. It was my attempt to make it on point. All right, so Franklin, how are you?
Fine.
Okay.
I mean, I disagree. I like the whole other better, but
Okay,
we'll see where we are at the end.
we're now back to the bullet point describing this section in
I
the.
think we can use the first sentence that we agreed upon, that the legislature should study.
Okay, how does everyone feel about that?
I didn't hear what was said.
That first sentence that we agreed in the section about the legislature should explore the growing use, to make that the bullet point?
Fine. I'm okay with that.
Okay, I don't hear Franklin, so I'm just waiting.
No, that's fine.
Okay, all right. Proposal A, need for effective FOIL oversight. So this where we have comments from multiple folks, I think, so let's open to those.
I think so.
Yeah.
I would get more lost.
Otherwise, you like fix
Okay, so the most specific detailed comments that we have on this section, I believe also come from David. But they're not as comprehensive as what we just went through and discussed. So, should we look at the draft that David circulated and see whether we can agree to those edits that he has made? Does that make sense to everybody? And anyone who had other comments and wishes to interpose them as we discuss this section, please do so. Okay. So in that first sentence, that we have changed from the word from ensure to not promote, and we had entered it in an unacceptably expensive. Everyone okay with these? Anyone not okay with them? Okay. The next paragraph has a stricken sentence and a couple of language edits. Anyone have issues with these?
Shoshana, I'm sorry, can you just read the sentence as it would be proposed by David, so I'm not
Which-
sure on the window.
In the first sentence, the first paragraph rather?
Yeah.
The current structure of administrative oversight of FOIL compliance does not promote the prompt and efficient disposition of such disputes. And then the next sentence that changed would say, the current statutory construct for appeal and enforcement places an unacceptably expensive and time-consuming burden on private citizens seeking redress for perceived violations of the open government statutes.
So, I'm struggling a little bit. I don't disagree personally that it is unacceptable. However, is it appropriate for us to use that term in this section? Is it up to us to say that's unacceptable as a committee? It's inconvenient. It's not ideal, but is it acceptable or unacceptable?
Which is the cost to file
I think it's $145.
But also it's attorney's fees.
Yeah.
Well,
I mean,
if
potentially,
you hire one,
if you hire one, yeah.
Most people are gonna.
I agree with Amanda. I don't know if we have to say unacceptable. Just saying that it's expensive and time consuming kind of throws things.
Fine by me.
Okay. Next paragraph has, you want me to read those sentences?
I think I've caught up with you now.
Okay. So do we have any comments or on the edits proposed by David to the second paragraph? The ones that begins proposals currently before the Senate and Assembly.
I'm fine.
Okay, including the elimination of that sentence, which is fine. I just want to make sure that we are not skipping over that for any reason. Okay, good.
Yeah.
I think that the only edit to the third paragraph might be a replacement of a clause in bold. Is that all right?
That's fine.
Okay. Then the proposals are discussed, and then
Independent administrative enforcement process.
yes, then at the bottom of page 3 of David's edit, there's a change in the identification of a section from independent legal enforcement to independent administrative enforcement process.
That's fine.
Okay. And then, David, was it you who struck the South Dakota reference? I just want to make sure that it was, right?
I did, because I thought that wasn't really an administrative process, the way we're describing it. It's basically you can go to court.
Okay. Everyone okay with that? I just want to make sure that that was actually your edit, David. I didn't want to attribute it to you without it being, yeah. Okay? And I know, did you have a comment on this section about not discussing did you not want to discuss the alternative? I can't remember, Joel, I'm going to look at yours.
I don't have it in my file. But it's on my computer right now.
I think you had actually stricken, Joel, the discussion. That was data collection. Never mind.
Yeah.
Oh, it's protocol.
Or no.
And proactive
You're thinking
disclosure.
of proactive disclosure.
Okay, sorry, I beg your pardon, I didn't
No,
mean to
no,
overcomplicate.
you're fine, you're
I
fine.
think overcomplicate.
Please no.
All right, so then that goes to the end of that oversight section. And without objection, we'll move on to the next section to discuss, is that all right? Yes, okay, improving soil data collection. Did anyone have any comments on that? I think okay, excellent. Then need for proactive disclosure, I think that this was moved up maybe from a different, yeah. So if you don't mind, David, can we discuss the section that was C before your edits, that in the order in the 11C draft, the section on clarifying legislative intent concerning perceived ambiguities and FOIL and the open meetings law?
Sure.
It's on page 5, okay. Need for clarity regarding repeal of Civil Rights Law 50A. I don't think there was any comment on the first 2 paragraphs there, unless I'm missing somebody's comments. So please, if I'm missing your comment, please let me know. And then the first edits I see are in the paragraph unsubstantiated or pending complaints. In that first paragraph discussing that, there were some changes of word choices. And the sentence that begins while courts in the past would now begin courts in the past. And
I think I'm sorry.
Very-
I lost a little bit. What paragraph,
I'm on-
what page of
I'm
paragraph?
on page 8 of David's draft.
Okay.
But there was something on
There
page
was
7, cut through the litigation.
Okay, I beg your pardon. I didn't have a thing. Sorry, going to post-repeal litigation regarding law enforcement disciplinary records, number A, retroactive application of provisions. In that first paragraph that begins since the repeal of 50A, there is an addition. The committee recommends that the legislature cut through the litigation and confirm. In other words, act now, don't wait, I think is what David is saying.
I don't know if I like that, cut through the litigation. I think it was fine before.
I mean, presumably if the legislature acted, it would sort of move the litigation.
I mean, I guess it would if,
Assuming. I
it
don't
would
know.
if it didn't wait, I guess.
Right, yeah, it would.
I would keep it as it was before legislature confirmed its intention.
Could you say why you prefer that?
Cut through the litigation and confirm, I mean, I think it's just an assumption that, you know, anything in between will confirm it's like mute, right?
Well, confirm
through
its
the litigation.
intention. We're asking them to confirm the intention. And putting through the
Right.
litigation is to remind the legislature that there is a lot of litigation going on that they could eliminate. That's the whole point, which we've said in the prior sentences about all the litigation. So I don't understand what the objection is.
I don't love the word confirm.
Yeah.
I prefer
That existed
clarify.
before.
Yeah, I know,
I don't think
but I prefer clarify, because
Right,
Talk about
it does
us
assume
assuming
that the
the
legislature did
legislature-
in fact mean it. I think they meant it. I think, to be fair, I think they meant it.
But
But,
I don't know that we want that.
I like
to report.
clarify.
Okay, I mean, okay, clarify.
Clarify whether its intention was that the repeal.
Clarify.
I just say, I think what we're asking them to do is to say, clarify that this was your intention.
Yeah.
We think it's your intention, clarify that it's your intention. I mean, confirm is just that we really think it was your intention, clarify is that we suppose it was your intention.
But
Yeah.
I mean, if the courts are coming
But
down on
is your
both sides
problem
of
with cut through the litigation the phrasing of it? I mean, perhaps there's another way to say that, legislature.
I feel strongly like we can keep it.
Immediately? How about immediately? Does that, instead of, does it help to?
Do you want to just use a legal term and just say recommends the legislature move existing litigation and confirm its intent?
And clarify its intent?
Or clarify its intent? I mean, I don't know, that's just a thought. If it sounds a little bit better, because I think cut through litigation sounds a little colloquial.
If the members in New York City are muting their microphone, that's not permitted by the open meetings law, so we need to stop doing that. So the committee recommends that the legislature moot existing litigation and clarify. How's that? How about moot existing litigation by clarifying? Because I think that's really what we're doing, right?
Yeah.
I
Does
prefer
everyone
the
agree?
cut-through language to mooting, but whatever.
I don't like jargon.
Is moot jargon?
It is.
It is, it's tech talk.
Well, it's,
Okay.
well, I mean, cut through.
Well,
is-
how about
cut through is
change-
jargon.
How about change cut-through to moot? I think that it's the sentence that bothers me. Recommends that the legislature mute the litigation.
But
and
that's what
confirm-
Joel proposed.
Clarify.
Oh, I thought you put it up, I thought you changed the sentence around.
Just to argue.
Okay, it's very hard to follow.
The
Not
committee
make it-
recommends that the legislature moot existing litigation by clarifying its intention.
Okay,
Is that all right with everybody?
yeah.
All right. Next section, unsubstantiated or pending complaints. We have a couple of modifications in that first paragraph. Anyone have any problems with these?
I'm okay with the first two chords and half.
Mm-hmm.
I think it sounded better before how you had it, the last sentence, the situation is unattainable. This is an unattainable situation that threatens to undermine. I think threatens to undermine was fine.
And the difference here is that one speculates that it's doing so and one confirms that it is doing so. That's, I think, the difference.
What do you think, Stephen?
As an editor, I try and avoid ing.
This is an untenable situation that
Threatens.
I like the original.
I like threatens.
is that all right with everybody? Retaining the original and not taking that edit? Yep.
Yes.
Okay. This issue is framed in recent court decisions. Anyone have a problem with that change? The next, okay. The reference to those agencies by providing an object, everyone okay with that in the next paragraph or sentence?
That's fine.
Okay. The next edit is in the paragraph beginning, given the proliferation, it adds the word promptly,
That's fine.
it removes properly. It changes general rule to important principle. Everyone okay with these? Okay. I don't know if I'm missing any, I think that's the end of that. Then there's the discussion of the legislative proposal. Is this where you? Oh.
It just
Hooray, Joel's computer went dark.
It died.
You can look on with mine.
I'm killed. I have one, but don't worry about it.
Everyone has a charging cord.
I do, it's the highest quality state.
It's the state,
Now we're
it's a
on
result
page
of a
11,
procurement,
right?
which is publicly posted on the OGS website.
Page 11.
Okay, page 11 unless I'm missing it.
So,
Okay, there's the top of that page, the paragraph that carries over from 10 to 11, these bills have been referred to governmental operations. And carries over, there's edit to the end of that paragraph, could result in harms that are mitigated by thoughtful review to ensure applicability of appropriate statutory exemptions to disclosure. It's just a rewording of the sentence to make it better. Is that, everyone okay with that? I think it makes the sentence better, in my opinion.
You gotta just throw a in, I think.
yeah, and result in harms.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was stricken, but
Right.
by accident, I think. Okay,
Otherwise, yes.
okay?
Yeah, I'm okay with
So in the discussion of the proposed amendment to FOIL to more strictly define the period for providing records, there is an edit to that, couple edits to that first paragraph that begins in 2022, Senator Harkman.
I'm okay with edits.
Still 10.
Well,
Page 11.
of David's. This is the one, I'm going through David's because he had the subsequent edits.
I mean, I'm there, I just am.
Oh, I think you said 10.
In 2022, yeah, I'm okay with those changes in that paragraph.
Okay.
Lord knows,
Sorry.
I'm finding the right words.
That's all that matters.
It looks like there were some edits of some words in the last paragraph of that section as well. The varying needs of the agencies and the differing scope of requests. Fine. Okay.
I'm just gonna throw out there that word tinkering. I don't love it, but I don't.
Oh, no, where is it?
It's in that paragraph. While the committee agrees the disclosure too often takes too long under current law, in our view, tinkering. I don't know.
Modifying statutory.
I think tinkering is what, the reason why I think the thing is used there is because the implication is small little ticks back and forth are not.
I don't know why the word just.
Do you have another one you
No,
would want?
It's folksy,
It's
Yeah,
folksy.
Okay.
It's a little folksy.
No, I just wanted
Yeah,
to say it
tinkering
out
is
loud.
Okay, all right.
modifying doesn't. What?
The next edit I see is in definition of public body introduces ambiguity in the carryover paragraph that begins in December 2021. Does there change, the newly excludes advisory bodies created by statute from their previous status as clearly covered. I think the in our opinion is there because it was guidance that we issued, David, so you can take it, you can take it out.
Did you skip one?
Maybe.
At
What did
the
I-
end of page 11, in December 2021, in
It's blue
chapter.
I
on the
think it's
edit.
just randomly blue.
Yeah, there's no indication that
Okay.
Yeah.
Isn't that repetitive though? Like in December 2021, in chapter 676 of the laws of
I just was referring to the exact
title.
chapter. We can take it out if you want to take out
Like
reference to
just take out
everything out. I
in
take out
December
December.
2021, right, and just say like in chapter 676 of the laws of
Yeah.
2021.
No
And
problem.
is that supposed to be blue? Or is it just my computer printing it funny?
It looks blue.
It was blue in the.
I wonder if there was a
Word
link, maybe if
document.
Oh,
maybe
it's a
we-
link.
You know what,
Okay.
it's probably not supposed to be a link, but maybe when we cut it from another document to
Got it.
make life
There are a
easier.
few links in some of these guidance
Yeah.
documents. I beg
Got
your
it.
pardon.
I gotta look and see,
Yeah.
that's probably what it is.
Sounds good.
Okay, so should we take out the in our opinion as well? Everyone okay with that? Our opinion because that's how we always say things when we issue guidance.
Yeah.
But in our report, it's clearly our opinion, so we don't have to say it.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, and then the next thing is just a tense subject verb agreement problem.
Yes.
Okay, then we could look at the section that David would have put higher, I think, right? The need for additional proactive disclosure. The comment from David is I would move this up in the report to make it C instead of where it currently is, which I think was so,
I find it right.
Page 6.
yeah. It's, oh boy, where am
I
I?
have
Page
page
6.
6. Page 6 on David's review at the top of the page.
Right, I had David's interfolded with mine, and so I had 2 page 6s, so that was the problem. Okay. All right. So it's hard to tell what was changed because it was wholesale moved. Do you have a,
Oh, was anything changed?
I think, you know what might be helpful,
Yeah,
at this point, we looked at Joel's,
okay,
the version, if you have, like, if we look at Joel or Ian's, either one, honestly, probably.
I have them all 3 in one, so it's just different colors.
yeah, that's what we tried, that's why
Because that was the last version that came out, and so all the edits are in one document, and I can look at everybody's at the same time.
okay,
I just don't wanna just stick to David, I was working off of David's version, now we think we need to move to Joel
Well,
already
but in
answered.
Joel's version, it just has,
I think Joel wanted to pull
it does, where's
certain
that?
things.
It's page 6 of
Yeah. 'cause
Okay.
these were-
Right, I see.
So you
I
make
see.
comments, Joe, right? Like you said.
Okay,
background.
excellent.
Yeah, I mean, I think that, I think I said it earlier when we were talking about the bullet points, is that I continue to just sort of, I mean, like I said, I've said this a million times, everyone's gonna roll their eyes when I say it, but I am a records access officer, so I deal with this, and this wording, this language we're using is just not meaningful. It's more harmful than good. It does not move the ball forward. We need to come up with, not necessarily us, but the legislature, with real criteria that you would use to either post descriptions of documents readily available, which would be my preference because it just doesn't need up all the bandwidth, or the documents themselves, depending on the length, maybe, I don't know. But I think that we continue to talk about this in such vague terms that it just doesn't make any sense to me. And as I said earlier, also, we've been putting these things out there, and nobody, not a single person, has even cared to respond or check up on it or ask for any documents. So I continue to be, I was sort of a little Pollyanna about this when I first joined the committee, but I've become much more skeptical as events and sort of time and people's behavior has unfolded themselves. I just don't think that there's any interest, and I think we're spending way too much paper on talking about something that apparently,
It's possible that it's just my 2 cents, also as a former records access officer, but also as someone who talks to people every day
Yep.
about this issue, is that I think to some extent it may be more of an issue for municipalities than it is for state agencies. There are types of records that towns and villages and cities and counties could be making available proactively to prevent, on their websites, to prevent these types of FOIL requests and making everybody's lives a lot easier. I see this all the time. Why aren't these, these particular kinds of documents that are supposed to be clearly public, like secret documents and things like that, why can't I just go to the website and get them? So it may not speak to you at the Division of Budget, but it's probably going to speak to many, many other of the thousands of units of local government across the state. They're not gonna like the obligation, but it will make likely lives easier for many people who are trying to obtain records from local government agencies.
So then I think that we should probably, if that's, I don't know if that's what the committee wants to say, but then I think we should say that. Right?
But also, are we sure that Division of Budget is not the exception and that there might be other state agencies?
That's my point.
That's my 2 cents on this, as somebody who does speak to people every day on this issue.
I get that, because my town doesn't even post their meeting minutes, which they're required to, right?
Right.
So, I get it, but, which is.
Or they can post the recording transcript of their meeting
Believe me,
instead of minutes, as long as they are prepared to do minutes.
There's none of that either.
Okay.
Not to throw where I live on the bus, because I love it. But, yeah, that's fine if that's what we're gonna do. I think that, just in general, we continue to see this and, like I said, my experience continues to be the same. Maybe it's just not, my experience is not particularly valuable in this context, but I don't really, the ambiguity and the vagueness, I think, continues to bother me as somebody that would be in charge of enforcing this. But, take it or leave it, because I'm gonna be saying it.
So what Joel has done, I don't know if you guys down in New York have been able to pull up Joel's comments, but he in the section on this, he cut out quite a lot of the conversation, cut a lot of the discussion, and kind of reworded a little bit of last bit, but that he didn't cut. Do you guys have that? Do you want to?
I don't see.
Is this the version that ends with the sentence? However, we continue to believe that, and hold on. No, that ends with the paragraph. While several bills have been introduced, the committee
The last
urges
word
the
is
legislature
transparency.
to.
Yeah, that last word is
Yeah,
that
I'm
second
fine
sentence
with
in
that
that.
version. You want to see it? It's very short. It's much shorter. I'm fine.
Yep,
with
you're
that.
okay with that?
Yeah.
So just
I would still move it up.
Page
Make
Want me to read
one,
it?
Yeah, just because there's.
I'm
long
gonna read the
versions.
section. Sorry, everyone's gonna get sick of my reading voice. I beg your pardon. Need for additional proactive disclosure. The Committee on Open Government has long encouraged improved transparency through proactive disclosure. New York State has passed and amended some laws that strengthen government transparency. For example, in 2012, the legislature required that when practicable, records scheduled to be discussed at an open meeting be available for public inspection before the meeting. Last year, the legislature amended that requirement and clarified that to the extent practicable, records scheduled to be discussed during an open meeting must be posted to the public body webpage and available for public inspection at least 24 hours before the meeting. However, we continue to believe that New York must improve access to government records, and we continue to support new legislation which seeks to broaden proactive disclosure. While several bills have been introduced in the legislature which seek to accomplish this goal to varying degrees, none have become law. The committee urges the legislature to be thoughtful and deliberate in their crafting of this legislation, thereby avoiding delays in implementation or by including vague language which will frustrate the purpose of openness and transparency.
I think we need to go back to avoiding. Right?
Yeah, I added it.
Fix it as necessary.
I added it as on the fly.
No, I know. I just want to make sure it was reflected here.
Is that okay with everybody?
Yes.
Yes.
All right.
But we're moving it up, right?
I don't
It's
know, are we
becoming
moving it up?
state.
That's my next question.
Yeah, that's fine. I don't care about that.
Want to move it up to number C? My handwriting becomes illegible as the meeting goes on. Okay. All right, we already did F. Evaluation of chapter 56 is next, I believe.
Page
Which,
13 on the 11.3.
page 13 on the 11.3 document, and
16 on Davis,
16 on David's.
7 on July.
Oh my God.
And the number in New Jersey.
I think that there were no edits to this
The very
section.
end.
Is that
Well,
right?
I have a very minor comment. I think
Sure.
for people who are reading it, the paragraph to begin shortly after passage of chapter 56.
Yep.
Because those are available on the committee website here. That's
Yeah,
great
we'll
if you're
take out the
reading it online.
hyperlink.
Put a real citation there so that people could click on it if they are reading it online. But
Oh, yeah,
can
this
find it.
is a clickable hyperlink, right? That is a clickable hyperlink in the
But not
online.
if you're reading it in hard copy.
Not if you're reading it in hard copy, but like as you said, if you're reading it online, it's clickable.
But I think we should have a real citation for people who are reading it in hard copy. Don't we still send copies to the legislature in
We
hard
send them
copy?
electronically.
Electronic.
They prefer them electronically. They've said not to send them in hard copy.
I just think, I don't like looking at a print that says here.
Yeah, I
because it
agree.
doesn't
That's fine.
carry
We will
you
put
in
a
here.
reference to our website right there.
Just out of
Yeah.
curiosity, they specifically request that you not send it?
They sure did.
When are you in?
I
Let's see
find that
where
so
we are.
funny.
It's the very end, and here's
Surprising, but so fun.
I just
Yeah.
find it funny. I would request it.
So the only changes that were made subsequent to the last circulation of a draft to the next sections was to add the new decision. There was one or maybe two decisions on was it 58, Kristen, that came down. It was consistent with our continuing advice, that what our continuing advice has been regarding unsubstantiated complaints. And then retroactivity, there was one that was clearly wrong and said that it didn't apply retroactively. So we've added that to the discussions.
Are we done?
Did we miss, but before that, did we miss anybody's comments on any section in flying through it? I know you had some ministerial comments, we have included those.
Yeah, we will.
Those are included.
They're not, yeah.
Oh, well, we'll make consent. And Stephen,
Stephen, do you have any further comments that you wanted to make sure that we didn't miss?
I'm going back to decide what in fact I thought back then.
Yes, fine.
Your mind has been all over the places. Goodness.
I'm, go with it.
alrighty, that's great.
That's fine. Okay.
I think in conclusion, much as we may wrestle, I do value all of your comments, suggestions, things I learn a lot. Thank you.
That's very kind. Thank you for ending it that way.
You're a nice man. You're a nice man, but you're.
Well, before we go, we have another section of our agenda, which is a call for public comment. So,
I was just about to leave.
All right,
do you want to vote first?
no, well,
Vote first.
we could perhaps vote, but I have a comment before we get to public comment.
Sure.
I don't see a new business, but it isn't new business.
It
either,
is, it's new business, it's after public comment, Franklin, it usually is.
Okay.
Okay, this is old business, but whatever. Let's have a vote first, and then let me just make a comment
Okay,
before we.
I would call for a motion to approve the report with all of the amendments and suggestions and comments that were agreed by consensus today included. I would call for that motion.
Second?
Okay, I need to call for the motion.
move.
Oh, okay, it's all right, can we vote
I'm
then?
getting the hang of this.
Can we please vote all in favor of the report as modified as discussed today? One, two, three, four, five, six. I see 6 in favor. Anyone against? Seeing none. Anyone? We have 1 abstention. Joel has abstained. Okay, that means that the report as modified as discussed today is approved. Thank you all.
Yay.
And Franklin, would you like to make your comment before?
Yeah, I
public
just
comment?
want to make a comment. It's been years since the committee has had its full complement of public members, including 2 reports under our current governor. To the extent that any of you have any influence and could persuade the governor to fill the public member vacancies, the structure was set up for a reason, and it hasn't been working that way for a very long time. And I just think that the minutes should reflect at least my continued recognition of this issue, which I believe has existed for at least 5 years, maybe longer than that, where it's been discussed at meetings. And they
Would there be, is there objection to the committee to any single member of the committee to having a vote on that?
A vote
Well,
on
we've called for it repeatedly, and our previous executive director begged, and I believe that Shoshana has also been in communication, and I've been in communication with them, and they're like, oh, any day now, any day, they're in process. And that's been going on for a year. So it affects our deliberations. There's no question about that. And it's not what was statutorily intended. So it's troubling to continue our work without our full complement. And Governor Hochul said she recognized that and was going to remedy it. And here we are 2 reports later without the level of public member discourse that was intended for this committee.
I was just wondering if it is encouraging, if it's weighty, if the committee unanimously encourages the governor.
I don't think this is appropriate.
Yeah.
That's why I'm asking.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm not
But
in
Franklin
this
is
position,
correct
you
that
are.
I have also been in frequent contact with
Right.
you
That's
know,
why I asked
principals
the question rather
who would
than
have
propose
information
it.
about this. And I have heard also that they're actively working on these things. It's certainly true that they are being worked on. So I don't have any further or any more detailed or inside information than that. All right, Kristen, do you want to see if we have any member of the public who wishes to make a comment for minutes?
Yes, we do. I'm just saying, sort of reminding everyone of the ground rules that we have agreed on, is that there's a 3-minute time limit for each speaker. This is a time for the speaker to express their thoughts, their opinions to the committee. We do not accept questions to committee members or to the committee as a whole. That this is a time for the committee members to listen to the speaker. but there will not be,
A
committee
dialogue.
members will not be, there will not be no dialogue, committee members will not be answering questions or engaging at this time. So I know we have at least one hand up and maybe more will come up, so I'm going to call on the first speaker, Mr. Gaines. I'm gonna unmute you in just a second.
Mr. Gaines.
Okay, Mr. Gaines, if you'd like to start with your public comment.
You're with us, Mr. Gaines.
Mr. Gaines? I see your hand is risen, but we can't hear you. If you're trying to speak, you have been unmuted. Okay, maybe we'll try again at the end because your hand is still risen, but at this point, we can't hear you. I'm looking to see, I don't actually see anyone else has their hand raised to speak. I'm gonna try unmuting you and, or, Mr. Gaines, can you hear us?
Let's leave him unmuted for 3 minutes and wait.
Okay.
Is there anyone else with questions in the meantime?
No one else has raised their hand at this time.
Mr. Gaines, you're still unmuted.
We have to wait 3 minutes.
I don't see any other fair way, Franklin. Do you have an alternative proposal?
Well, I'm just not sure that 3 minutes means anything, but.
Well, that was
That's
his
the
time
time
to
aside.
speak, Franklin.
What are we looking at now?
Buffalo.
Oh, Buffalo. That's Hadley.
These are strangely large cups, right?
It's for your full caffeination needs.
Yeah.
So
And I do need at least 2 cups of coffee, so this will do.
Okay, good. And you in New York will be receiving yours by mail. Sorry, I brought them with me here, but you will get your swag.
Like a dress. I mean, I can bring it with me to New York and give it to you guys.
I don't know whether you'll see them again before.
Mr. Gaines, you still
Oh,
continue
that's
to be unmuted.
That's
You
right.
have approximately a minute left if you'd like to take advantage. And again, I do see your hand is risen, and you are unmuted.
And the call is still active.
This call is still active.
Well, while we're waiting, I would just like to take a second to thank Shoshana and Kristen and the whole staff for, I thought the draft report was more
Oh, Mr.
comprehensive.
Gaines,
Yeah.
Mr. Gaines?
Hi,
Can you all hear me, ladies and gentlemen?
You have, how many seconds left does he have?
8 seconds.
I was
Mr.
not
Gaines,
able
you
to get on
started your
this,
3 minutes.
The technology precluded, but I see that it's 12:29 Eastern. Thank you for your time. I don't necessarily agree 3 minutes. I agree with the lady's comment. That's not really any much time, but I'll say what I can, and I'll note thank you from Mr. David Schultz. I concur with 98% of what he said. I have a number of cases of FOIL of record. Thank you for your time, Madam Chairman. I've sent emails, and I'll follow up on the micro issues that bring me to you today. I do offer myself as a person who wants to be the public member which you had said, quote, "It's troubling to continue without a full complement. 2 years now. I, David Gaines, hereby apply for that public member position." I also concur with Mr. Schultz in terms of any, quote, minority reports. And I submit that I would be a case study / layperson of FOIL first-person experience that would add tremendously before one crosses off on any annual reports. This seems to be, or should be, much more than an academic exercise in terms of reports. And I offer myself not just as a public member, but in lieu of that, or leading to that, I offer to write a case study before the next meeting and present it with,
Mr.
I would
Gaines,
request
you
at
gotta
least
stop
45 minutes
explaining.
of time.
If you have any other questions or concerns,
I'm sorry,
you're welcome to reach out to our
I
office.
didn't hear, I didn't know. I'm
Thank
reading
you.
Robert's rules.
Jeez, so much for open government.
I'm sorry, Franklin, did you want to?
Yeah, I would have given him more time. I also, despite our comment about response, the committee does not appoint its own members. If he wants to make an application, these are gubernatorial appointments that are open. And in fact, I think I'm the only person that isn't in holdover status in the public member category. I might have informed him of that, but
That
there it
is a holdover starter or that is not?
I'm the only person, as of the last time I looked, I was the only person that wasn't in holdover status because the assembly reappointed me. I don't believe the governor or the Senate has moved to reappoint their members. So, and we've pointed this out to the governor and as well, but in any event, I might have informed him that he was making his application to the wrong body, but
I'm sure he hears you, Franklin.
if he hears me now, then he'll know.
He does.
Apply to the
He'll
governor,
know.
Mr. Gaines.
I think Mr. Gaines has probably written to the governor a number of times. So I think she's
Well-
probably well aware of Mr. Gaines.
If there was anything we could do, we might do something, but we'd have filled those vacancies.
We have to
All
make
right,
a motion
is
to
there,
adjourn.
is there any new business before we make a motion to adjourn? That's the last item on the agenda is new or, okay? Hearing none, can I have a motion to adjourn this meeting?
So moved.
Second, all right, hearing no objection, we are adjourned at 12:33.
Thank you all.